What's up, Artie?
Howdy doody. Anthony, how are you, buddy?
Stressed, but okay.
Stressed? What are you stressed about?
It's been a busy week.
Yours too.
A lot of long days this week.
Yeah.
And I was doing some work today, and it took about 5 hours longer than I wanted it to take.
That sucks. Hello to everybody. Here's Dwight. How you doing, Dwight? Curly.
Howdy, Dwight.
Yeah. I've had my week full of adventures this week. You know, I truly say things happen for a reason. Things do not happen without a reason. Oh, hello, Rick. Oh, he's trouble. I swear there's things happen for a reason. Like I had the issue with Esther, right? And with my permit to get over, hey, wigwag. And the reason why I couldn't resolve it started from Monday, from the landlord's agent saying that I'm owing money on rent, back rent. And I'm like, no, it's impossible. I'm ahead with my rent. Well and truly, I'm about a month in advance. Over here, it's a minimum of 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you what, she is such. Hey, Ron Moen, how are you, bud? I wouldn't say she's beyond a bitch. She's a bully. If I could say, I'm going to say clearly. And it got that bad that I had to hang up on and go, look, if you keep on persisting the way you are, I'm going to have to talk to the landlord because the landlord's here all the time working on his granny flat. And L.A. Scott, she kept on pushing and pushing and going, no. That's it. I spoke to the landlord about it and we got it sorted. There's like about 2 weeks worth, 3 weeks worth of rent missing. So I'm trying to figure out with their ledger or anything else. It just not adding up. And, well, that's the thing. She's not giving me any receipts. And we've been arguing about this for nearly 12 months. I want receipts. She's not giving me receipts. She goes, it's up to me to make sure the rent's paid. And I go, how do I know if you receive the money if I don't receive no receipt? Simple, isn't it? If you haven't received the money, you won't send me a receipt, right? So anyway, I'll mention it, talk to the landlord, and we got that out of the way. Well, did I send the invite out? Yeah, I did. I had to go out. Well, I got to pay the rent. That's the thing. I got to pay the rent. The landlord knows it. I got a track of from my bank account that it's been paid in. But still, she's got to acknowledge that they have received it in some form as a receipt, and that's the law especially in this state, in this country. That's the law. If the rent's been paid, you must present a receipt. Tuesday, I had to go out and go to the doctors, and guess what? I catch over the doctors. I catch the showstopper. No, they don't take checks, Rick. We in Australia, it's anti-check now, so don't come here and expect to pay in check because it don't work. It's only electronically now. You can't even pay cash over the counter. It's got to be done electronically from a bank. I'm paid. As far as I'm paid, as far as I'm concerned, I'm paid. Then she started again on Thursday, going, "Oh, you have to pay your rent on Friday." And go, "Well, no, I get paid on Mondays, Monday nights. I'm going to pay my rent on Tuesday morning. Rent's still going to get paid." So resolving that issue, that would have been a nightmare. G'day, Zing. Scotty, my head's been like, boom. I've had a real bad case of sinus. I didn't have any other side effect. I did get a little bit of chills. But I tell you what, my nose was running like the Niagara Falls. It was that bad this time around. I didn't have the runs like I did last time, so I think I'm on the end run on it. I'm quarantined now. I'm not allowed to go out. Well, I'm allowed to go out in the yard, but I'm not allowed to go to shops or anything like that. So I'm stuck at home. So even with that, with me getting COVID at the doctor, I believe it's a doctor surgery where I got it, because that's the last point of call. On Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, I felt really bad. I didn't go anywhere else Tuesday. And I just took some paracetamol. That's what I took last time when I got it, 2.5, 3 months ago when I got it. I took some paracetamol and it sorted itself out in about 3-4 days. So it's been a little bit more stubborn this time. She's still hanging in. I've cleared up a bit this morning. I'm just glad that I've got my shot that has taken the severity of it. I still believe it's either the doctor surgery or went into the shopping centre not far from here. Those are the only two places where I would have got it. Now, with that, there would have been no way in the world would I have been able to depart on Wednesday, because you've got to be clear of it for 7 days before your departure. So for me not coming over, it's like the universe knew something was going to happen without me knowing. Things always happen for a reason. We meet up with each other for a reason. Well, if that's the case, let's see, Tuesday, Wednesday, three days. Well, it would have been a shopping centre, because I was at the shopping centre on the Sunday after my live stream on Sunday. I went into, it's like it's crossed between an arcade and a mall. We got our arcades and malls all in one. So I believe that's where I would have got it. That's the only place where I've been. So, because generally I'm just been staying at home. I do go to the local shop around the corner here, but it's not crowded. The only crowded place I've been at is a place called Warrawong, not far from where I went near the rail maintenance facility. There's a big shopping centre there. And the attitude of people there, they don't care what they got, if they got colds or COVID or whatnot, they'll still just go out, even though they're supposed to be isolating, they're not. But I mean, you can isolate here without any problems. You don't have to go to work. You're getting paid. You're going to get assistance. You're going to get paid. So you do not have to go to work. There's plenty of support there for you to take that 1 week off. If you need things delivered at home, it will get delivered to you at home. Hey, Thomas.
Hello, Thomas.
I mean, I've got groceries and stuff that gets delivered over here. I'm live on my own, and I'll just ring up the local grocery or tobacconist or whatnot and go, "Hey, I'm short. Can you bring me something over and drop it off the steps?" No problem. Was it raining there, Anthony?
No.
Big rats. Oh, hello, Joyce.
Honey, how you feeling?
Ah, getting there, getting there,
Okay,
getting there.
good.
So so it was a bit of a bummer, a bit of a knockback, but when I recover out of this, I'm going to start shaking the cage about getting out of the US because I'm not waiting around for 12 months to get authority to travel over there. Because if one of my mum Janice, if she gets really ill or someone gets really ill over there, I want to be able to jump on a plane and go over there. And if anyone passes away, well, I want to be able to jump on the plane and get there. At the moment, I can't.
Mm.
So I'm going to resolve the matter once I get over this and start feeling better in this other issue with the landlord's agent. Yeah. Oh, the landlord's good. He's cool. I went up to him and he goes, "Well, I'll go and sort it out for him. She needs to pay. She needs to give you a receipt. If she doesn't do that, I'm going to ask her why they taking the percentage when they're not doing their job." So yeah. So to say I've been working on my layout is, apart from my switch, I haven't really done anything. I've been lazy. Scott, I'll tell you what, I am starting to have second thoughts about moving to the US. After what I've been through, after what I've just recently been through, I tell you, for such a big country, it's sad and very disappointing. For people that want to do the right thing and do things the right way, they get kicked up the backside, they get shoved in the corner. But if you are willing to come over there and do things illegally, yeah, come in. No problem. It's a bit of a rant, I know, but out of 3 different departments, not a single one, out of 2 departments, one didn't help. Department of Homeland Security said they'll get back in contact with me 72 hours. And what is it now? 3 weeks out, 3 weeks since I got in contact with him. Not even email, not even a phone call, not even a text, nothing. I mean, that's totally and utterly disgraceful. I really hope none of you people that travel abroad especially you, Anthony, you guys going to the UK. But if any of you guys coming here in Australia, I hope to God that you guys get looked after better than what we did. I mean, here's Australia. We're one of your biggest allies supporting you, and we get treated like a piece of manure. But anyway, I'll get that revolved. Yeah, nothing already done on the layout except for that little switching. Just haven't been able to stop my sniffles. So I've got to try to do that a bit. Yeah, so, yeah. Trains. What else can we talk about? Anthony.
Yes.
Yeah, what can we talk about? I had my rant.
I don't know. Like I said, I've had a very busy week at work and a lot of meetings, a lot of long days. Countdown. I've got 2 weeks of work left. Even though I have officially retired June 1st, I only have 2 more weeks with students, and then we have exam week. But
3 weeks.
So what?
3 weeks.
You've got 3 weeks. I've got 2 weeks of students and then exams.
So what are you gonna do there, Anthony? You're gonna give them all A pluses,
No,
regardless of their answers?
no. I mean, by state law, I am mandated to give exams. But I've already told my German classes we're not going to have an exam this year. They canceled the German program. The kids have nothing they need to have an exam for because there is no next year for them. It's all been canceled. So why the hell giving them an exam? So I also teach a couple of English reading classes, mythology classes. And I've been debating whether I'll even give an exam in there, and I'll just give myself the week off. And
what are they going to do? Sack you?
They could file a complaint against me. You know, I could be written up for it, and it would have to go to it would have to go to the union. But in the end, they're not going to hassle it because I'm retiring. I'm quitting. You know, it's my it's my retirement gift to myself.
Yeah, and the farewell gift to your good students.
You know, the thing is, I mean, half my students would flunk the exam anyhow, over half, because the amount of work they're not doing is staggering. They're just, you spend I don't spend half class. I just teach. And if a kid's on his cell phone, I go over and, you know, turn it off. And if I turn my back, they're back on it. And it's just been insane the last 2 years teaching. And, But I have to also clean my room out, which I've been doing. I have to get all my crap out of there. And I've got 36 years worth of stuff collected. And so I have a table behind me, which you can't see, but that's just some of the stuff I've been bringing back each day. So I've got piles everywhere down here that I don't have storage for because the storage is now a train layout.
What you need to get a U-Haul trailer. Hello, Mike B. How are you? So you need to get a U-Haul trailer, do you?
What's that?
You need to get a U-Haul trailer to pick up all your stuff from school to bring home.
No, I've brought home 80%, 90% of what I'm going to bring home. It's just finding a place to store it all. But the funny thing is, they said since the program is canceled, I should box up all the textbooks. And there's only about 400 textbooks, plus all the associated material, the CDs, the student workbooks, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, you canceled the program. You box it up.
You do it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You canceled my program. We were an honors winning program. All kinds of awards my students have won over the years, all kinds of publicity I brought to our school and our school system, been in the paper, been on TV, been in German newspapers, been on German TV. The politicians don't see a need for German. You know, we're in the middle of Toledo, Ohio. You know, why do we need a German program? And the only reason it's kept going is because I had friends in high places and I kept getting us good publicity. But since I'm retiring, well, it's a new room. They can put one of their little pet projects in now. You know, well, we need another classroom to do this new program. Well, his classroom's coming open. Cancel the German program. New little pilot project. They're just one by one killing all the foreign language programs.
You know, when we talk about languages, well, particularly when we go to Europe, apart from the English being the main dominant language, the two other languages are French and German, and it always has been. Like, if I go down to where my folks come from in the former Yugoslavian states, right, majority of them would speak English or German. Very few would speak French. Because you take those Eastern Bloc people from the Eastern Bloc, majority of them go to work in Germany. So the German will be one of the most common languages to speak, the German and the French. But German, for somehow, people tend to pick it up, especially from the Eastern Bloc, because there are so many there's so many similarities in the words, and that's why it's easy for people like us to gradually pick it up. Joyce, I've got some laundry here.
Yeah, good luck with that.
You don't have to put it in the dryer. I've got some.
Send them.
It's a beautiful day. You put it outside and let nature would do its course and dry the laundry. And that's where I got the thing for. I went to go and get some clothes pegs so I can do the laundry. It's deadly. Yeah, so why get rid of German? I mean, if the people want, if it was successful, why touch things that's successful?
Well, also our city has a very strong German based population, and the largest festival in our city is the German American Festival we have every year.
Yeah.
But it's just, again, it saves money. They don't have to hire a teacher to replace me. They've got a room to open up one of their little pet. It's like any job, okay, like any occupation. The corporates above you, they have these great ideas. Hey, let's set up this pilot program. Let's do this, and we'll throw some money into it, and we'll test out this new way of doing the job and see if it works. And 99 times out of 100, it fails. It doesn't matter what the occupation is. The thing is, it comes down to the politicians, and they count dollars. And it's weird, they count dollars. By, me, a 36-year veteran teacher, I've got a high salary. Getting rid of me saves them money. But now they've got a room that they can throw $50,000, $100,000, $150,000 at to start one of their pilot education programs. Because one thing that bothers me, like our school, we are a public school. We are an urban public school. But our school system is heavy on the get all the kids into college. Get all the kids into college. They want to brag about how many kids go to college like the private schools do, the rich private schools. Look how many of our kids go to college. But we have large neighborhoods where most of the kids, they might go to technical college. They might go to college for a year or two. But this is not to be taken the wrong way. But many of them are not academically oriented. They're very smart kids. But we used to have electric shop. We had wood shop. We had metal shop. We had all the shops in my high school. They got rid of them all. Now it's business, computer, and tech, and tech, and tech. But you know what? We still need electricians. We still need carpenters. And a lot of our kids, that's where they're at. That's where their intellectual mindset is at. And they need to still have those classes available. But every time a teacher retires, they cancel those old programs and they bring in, okay, this is a new academic program that's going to get all these kids into, we're going to have pre-med in the high school. We're going to have this in the high school. They want it all high-end academic. And I'm a high-end academic person.
Yeah.
But I also had a father who was an electrician, and I am capable of completely remodeling my house myself. I don't need to hire professionals, although I will occasionally I'll hire a plumber, especially, with gas lines. You have to, you're not allowed to do gas lines yourself. It has to be with the, but I don't like messing with most plumbing. So certain plumbing I will have a professional do, but otherwise basic plumbing, all the electrical, all the woodworking in this house, all that I do myself. But I had a father who trained me. And these kids don't necessarily have fathers that train them, but they're not going to be doctors or lawyers, but they could be very good electricians. And that's not saying there's a difference in intellect, okay? An electrician can be as smart as a doctor, okay? But it's a different intellectual mindset. And we need to offer these kids, everything doesn't have to be college oriented. And that's where we're at right now. Everything is college oriented. Get these kids to 5-year colleges.
Yeah, I like the system that I like the system they've been experimenting with here in the last, possibly the last 8 years, 10 years. They experimented with the system here in my area, amongst the public schools. Okay, we have one of the best universities here in the world with development, with medicine and technology and renewables and whatnot. University of Wollongong. almost a one-stop shop, but it's really helpful in the heavy industry, engineering, that sort of thing. Now, because of the steelworks, um, this area is heavily reliant on trades like your electricians, your fitters, your machinists, your plumbers, and everything else like that. So we have, especially if you go back in days when I was at school, all high schools here had a woodworking facility, had a wood turning, the steel fabrication. They had engineering, technically what we call engineering drawing, your basic science and everything else. We had that. All schools are still got science as a basic subject. My old high school here still has retained its woodworking, its steelworks, the steel industries, and basically all your technical stuff. They did maintain a portion of it as a base subject. But now what they've turned around and done in the area is like, okay, my old high school is mainly specialises in sports. The kids they want to do the career in sports down the track, whether it be physical ed teacher or be a world champion football player or hockey player and whatnot. It's sports orientated.
Mm-hmm.
Going over close in the city, we have another school over there that's into arts, performing arts. You know, we all need actors. We still want to watch TV, so it caters for that. The one next door to it, it's more academic, high academic, like university students and lawyers and degrees. So all the schools are being separated to specialise in one lot of subjects.
Right.
And it's worked. But we were lucky because a lot of the schools are not that far apart. So it worked out pretty well. The steel industry is still getting their young tradesmen in there. We're still getting our lawyers. We're still getting our doctors and everything else. We're still getting everything. And it's worked out fine. Instead of just closing down this section, they just moved it to another school. And whatever they had left over in that school, they brought over.
Yeah, it's we are kind of going that way here. Like we already are.
Yes,
We
I am,
call them,
Thomas. I am.
we on the inside call them pull-out schools, but our public school system, and again, people in the UK, I think in the UK, public schools are called state schools, and
Yeah.
what they call public schools in the UK, we call private schools here.
Yeah.
But my Toledo public school system, Toledo City Schools, we have created specialist schools. So we have the Toledo School for the Arts. We have the Toledo School for the Science now. But what happens is that pulls a lot of our best students out of my general high school, and they go there. And it's become, and it's, well, I won't go into it, but we lose a lot of our kids. 5 years ago, 6, 7, 8 years ago, my high school had 1,400 kids in it. Now we can't break 1,000. And I live in the school I teach at, I live in that district. I live in the neighborhood district that feeds that school. See, in Germany, because I don't know how the school systems work anywhere else, but I know America and I know Germany. And in Germany, there is no high school district. You go to whatever high school anywhere you want. If you want to travel 3 hours a day and go to a high school across the country, you can if you get into it. You don't have a local school district. All the kids that live within a certain distance of this high school. Well, in America, that's what we have. If you live within a certain boundary, you go to this public school, or you can go to a private school. So anyhow, I teach at a school called Bowser. I live in the Bowser district. My kids all went to Bowser. But when I moved here, 95% of the kids in my housing neighborhood went to Bowser. Now, less than 5% go to Bowser. They all go to charter schools, private schools. They don't go to that school because they changed the district and they changed the border around. And so the people here that live in my neighborhood didn't want to go to have their kids going to the same school that those kids from that other part of town were going to, and they shifted them out. And now
see, we still have our normal school boundary, like our regional boundaries. Like from Unanderra, where I grew up to, we all used to go down here to Berkeley High. But if you didn't want to go to this and you want to specialise in somewhere, you can go there now. Where in the past you couldn't.
Greetings, Eve.
Yeah, we're solving. I wouldn't say we're solving the education. I mean, it does need a good shake-up around here. I don't know about over there, but I mean, we don't really have a college system here. Our college system, we have a high school graduation, which is year 10. And then we have a high school certificate, which is you extend another 2 years in your high school and you become a high school senior. When you finish that, you've got a choice of either go your technical trades. You can leave at year 10, which is 10 years of high school.
Mm-hmm.
You're entitled to go and do to trade school, like technical college. You can go and do that. Study a trade like electrician, a chef, that sort of thing. But for university, you got to do minimum. You got to go grade 12. Yeah, that's right, Mike. And once you get your grade 12, then you're entitled, depending on your score, to go into university. I'm never going to be smart enough to go to university. I mean, not on paper. You know, my grades, I was bad in doing theory side of things, on black and white, doing practical things, doing practical stuff, it was good.
Yeah. Now, see, this is one thing I'm going to, because when you talk about education, anybody that had a hard time going through school, it's on the school. There's two things. First of all, there's no such thing as a U.S. public school system. There's no such thing as an American educational system. The states and the local cities run it. The federal government has very little to do. People talk about the American education system. There is no American education system. There's the Toledo public school system, which is half run by the politicians of the city of Toledo and half run by the politicians of the state of Ohio. The state of Ohio sets certain standards and they tell us what we can and can't do. But then once they tell us what we can do, the local district decides what books, what things to use and so forth. So somebody said, Ian types in here that we have to adapt all kids. I spend so many hours outside my day, and people don't understand this, getting trained and retrained how to deal with every new special ed diagnosis, every new condition that's been, we get trained, and it comes to a point where I have 30 kids in a classroom who all have different needs, and in a 50-minute class, I've got to be able to adapt to all 50 different needs, and no human can completely do that. Plus, you have a difference between, for example, no matter what we talk about, it will go political. And so I try not to be too political. But I still teach and work in an area which is relatively strongly union. And it is consistently shown that states with strong unions, the kids do better academically.
Yeah.
But you have like, there's a school district in Texas where the female teachers have to wear a skirt and makeup to teach. Now, what's that got to do with their educational abilities or teaching in the classroom? But they're not trained, they're not protected, and they don't know how to deal with kids of many different things, but we have to constantly be relicensed, rechecked. And I could actually pull up, but it would be illegal to pull it up, but because I can work from home, I can pull up and show you. I have a computerized chart, and all my students have these different symbols by their name. And I have to be able to identify what each thing means, each of their special ed needs, and what am I doing to meet that need.
Yeah, Thomas, we are leading to model trains on the education system.
Hey guys,
Just hang in there. Hey, Randall, how
Hey,
are you?
Randall.
Hey, Nancy and Kyle, Janet.
I'm
But you
I'm
see-
actually not home now. I'm actually in the rail crew van again. I just dropped the crew off here at Crick Cove.
About bloody time you've gone and done some work. You got to keep it. You got to keep the economy going somehow. But see, there wasn't that much of that stuff back in the early days. Like I remember when I was teaching music. It was what you call it. It was simplified. You didn't have any of that. But majority of the time, you used to have the kids that were interested in it, and you were able to raise your voice a little bit, especially if the kids got out of line. Now you start raising your voice, you're being a bully. You're being abusive. That's it. You're at the end of your school career.
And it literally is different from town to town. It literally is different from town to town. What's accepted, what's not accepted, what teachers can do, what teachers can't do. And unfortunately, we become a customer service business. If a parent screams loud enough, long enough, no matter how rotten their kid is, if the parent screams loud enough, long enough, we give the parent what they want because we're scared the parent will take their kid somewhere else. And we need their butts in the chairs to get the tax dollars because everybody does account. And the way you get your money is they count how many kids you have in your classroom at a certain time of the year. And then the state divides the taxes up fairly per kid. But what happened is the private schools used to do a little trick because we would do what were called September counts. So the private schools would load up their schools in September. And then after the September counts, they would eliminate about 20% of their student populations and send them back to the public schools. So they would get that tax money for each of those kids that they turned around and kicked out and sent to me. So even if, for example, let's say in September, there were 100 kids in this school and 100 kids in my school. And so each school gets $10 per kid. Okay, I'm just trying to keep this simple. So that's $1,000 to school, $100 or $1,000 for these 100 kids, $1,000 for these 100 kids. Yeah. But come October, when the money starts getting distributed, I have 120 kids that I'm dividing that $1,000 up, and they have 80 kids. They're dividing that $1,000 up. So it becomes immediately. And then on top of that, American schools are funded by property taxes. So if you live in a poor neighborhood where property values are lower, you get less money than if you live in a rich suburb where you get more money per kid. So it's a very horrible, the American education system, A, doesn't exist, and B, the way it's formatted through the states is insane. And they're suddenly having a teacher shortage. Why? Because if one of my kids said to me, Dad, I want to be a teacher, I'd say, no, you don't.
Oh, no.
I've loved my job. I've done it for 36 years, but I'm at the end of it looking back at what I've enjoyed. Looking forward is scary.
So you have a look at some of the things that have been taught in schools. It's like you wonder, a lot of the head schools is being lost because everyone's all focused on computers and smartphones and stuff like that. I'm sorry, throw them out. A lot of it's basic techniques like painting and construction, making things, using your hands. I mean, you have a look. That's how we managed to get this far. Learn how to make paper mache. You learn how to do different styles of painting and arts and crafts and using your imagination. That's nowadays. That's all going. Yeah, throw out the phones.
Oh, if only we could.
Yeah.
Hey,
Throw
Artie,
out-
I had a Wi-Fi and cell signal jammer in my classroom, and I got written up and forced to take it out of my classroom because that's not allowed. My kids weren't using the cell phones because they couldn't, but I had a jammer in my room, and oops, that's banned. But yeah, obviously people are going to get riled up. You start talking education, you're going to find me really riled up because I'm a teacher and I defend my profession. I defend because there's a lot of people who sit on that side of it, and I'm a parent too. Okay, I'm a parent too, but I'm also a teacher, so I know both sides of it. And a lot of people only know that side of it. They only know that side of it. You know, there are people like, oh, you teachers are lucky, man. You only work 6 hours a day, 7 hours a day. No, Joyce works 13, 14 hours a day, 15 hours a day as an elementary teacher. And meetings and parent calls and grading and, you know, every job is tough. When you have a job, you got to do it. It's tough.
It is.
I don't beg pity for my job. I chose to be a teacher. I knew going in it wasn't a high paying job, but it's what I was called to do. It was my vocation. I easily could have gone into other fields and made more money, and I didn't start off my college career thinking of being a teacher. Although when I went into college and started going into the School of Education, ran into some of my old teachers, they always looked at me and said, "Oh, we knew you were going to be a teacher." So you should have told me that. I might have saved me some bouncing around.
But you see, Janet said a good thing. I mean, a lot of kids don't know what detail is. But see, I like when I went to start at high school, we had a compulsory where we had to do a minimum of 6 months of woodwork and then a minimum of 6 months on metalwork. Right? It was compulsory in your first year in high school. And I'm glad I did that. I learned my bait. Okay, I knew my woodwork and everything else from Dad, and basic, what do you call it, metalwork. But when I end up when I done it in high school, I learned all these new tricks, and I expanded from it.
Mm-hmm.
There was no such thing as Google. Okay, Google was a textbook basically, you know, and yeah, I learned how to do my woodwork.
Mm-hmm.
Granddad came along, I learned a bit more skills out of him, but I learned. The metalwork, yeah, that came in handy down the track when I end up having my own business. I learned how to weld. I know how to use a drill press and stuff like that. But yeah, get rid of all these. Okay, it can come in handy. I mean, you got some things that do come in handy, like people learn. But at the end of the day, go back to basics. And it's not always a lot of people turn around and say it's the parents' fault. It's not always the parents' fault. You have a look at a lot of kids that they it's a lot of times it's peer pressure as well. Parents could be really nice, but the kids will be rebels.
Yeah,
and I've seen many experiences of that.
No, it's not always the parents.
No.
And again, where I teach, half my kids at least go home to single parent homes. And I can't even begin to guess what percentage of my kids go home to no parents. But then we have a large percentage of parents who don't do their jobs, or my kids have homework every day, and yet 2/3 of them don't do it.
Yeah.
And when you talk to the parents, well, why is my kid, and then the parents will come in at midterms after their kids got an F. Why did my kid get an F? Your kid hasn't turned in homework. And we have computer access where parents can go in and daily check their kids' grades and are they turning in homework. We have all these things provided for the parents to do it. But the kid said he had no homework, and you believed him. You get weekly progress reports. You've got daily access to the kids through online. We all have to post our grades and our assignments online, and the parents can access it. And, well, I don't have Wi-Fi or don't have internet. And then they got their smartphone with them. Really? Don't tell me you don't have Wi-Fi and internet and then you got a smartphone. But the parents will sit there and tell you that. Well, we don't have Wi-Fi or internet in our house. Hang on, I got to take this call.
Yeah, the Spirit Lock wasn't good at science. I thought it was inappropriate that we had to cook up meth for extra credits.
Oh, well, that's a running joke in my classroom because of all the silly stuff I do in my classroom. My students have said I'm Walter White in disguise, except it's not really that great a disguise because I actually do kind of look like him.
Yeah, well, but we learned a lot back then. I mean, nowadays, it's scary. It's scary. I mean, I'm just glad I learned and I went to school back in the days when I did. When I went to school, like, my teacher used to have the question mark next to my name. Is he going to turn up to school this week or not? Is he coming in today? Oh, he should be coming in today. He must be running out of homework. You know, but I was, excuse me. But for my attendance, I wasn't too bad. I still learned a fair bit, but then again, I learned the hard way.
Well, the funny thing is, I've spent 36 years doing this job, and I have always been an edgy teacher. I get my job done, whether I was teaching English, history, or German for the last 20 years that I've been teaching German, or I also teach what's a course called comparative mythology to my students. If I won, I've won my awards over the years. Okay, I've won my awards. I was never National Teacher of the Year or State Teacher of the Year or anything like that, but I've had a good career, and I'm leaving behind thousands of students that I think I did a great job with. And there are parents who love me, and I always joke with the parents. I said, I'm glad you love me, but if you came and sat in my class, half the time you might be looking at me going, that is not how a teacher should act in class.
Well, maybe the old-fashioned school is good. Maybe in the old-fashioned schools back in the days when you started teaching and I was going to school and whatnot, that would have been a totally different thing. I mean, that was good. I mean, you got to be a little bit of firmness, but work with them. I mean, like yourself, every year is going to be different. Every generation of kids is different.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
so
I could do both. I mean, I'm 6'3", and most of my teaching career, the last 10 years, I ballooned up to 300 pounds before I lost all this weight again. But I'm at the weight I spent most of my teaching career. I'm 6'3", 225, and was always in very good shape. So I could take a kid out in the hall and stare down at them and put my finger in his chest and say, you knock this shit off. I am not going to put up with this crap. And I could do that early in my career. Now, I'd be fired if I did that. But
there was nothing wrong with it.
I never had to do that too often early in my career, because you know that old saying, you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. I work with.
I don't know that. They don't catch you plenty of flies with vinegar.
I do. I get along with my students. The funny thing is, 90 times out of 100, I won't even say my students. I say my kids. And I over 36 years, I probably could count on. I think there in 36 years, there's maybe 5 kids, probably not even 5, maybe 4 kids, and I could only name 2 of them now, maybe 3 of them, where after a year of working with that kid, I still don't like that kid. A lot of students go, oh, my teacher's hating me, my teacher's hating me. We love our students. I've got, like I said, about 4 kids, of which I know I could name 2 now, and I'd have to think for a bit, come up with a 3rd or a 4th, where at the end of the year, I was like, I still can't stay. I tried everything with this kid. The kid's just a jerk. I can't stand that kid. I never want to see that kid again. And I feel awful. But the rest of my kids I love, and I feel sorry for some of them because I know what some of my students go home to. And, I posted something on Facebook. I think you even saw it, Artie. I took a picture. A student, and I don't know which one it was, but the end of the school day, they went up on my blackboard and they wrote in big letters because had gone out in the hall for something. And I think I could guess who it was, but they wrote on the board, "You made my day better." They wrote on my blackboard, "You made my day better." And that little message is something you take to heart because
Hey, Roy.
I might be the one bright spot that kid has in a day. I might be that one bright spot. So I don't want to be one more bad spot in that kid's day. I want to be, if I'm going to be anything, I want to be that one bright spot in that kid's day. I want the kids to want to come to my class. And I have kids that won't do a damn bit of work for me. But by God, they'll skip other classes and they won't skip mine because they like being in my class. And if nothing else, they like the show I put on. Because for 36 years, I've been doing a show. I've been pretending to be a teacher.
I remember. But you always have that one student, that one person that will push your buttons right to the last minute. That will, you
They will
can't do
try.
it now. You just get your hand and just whack them over the ear. It'll wake some up and the others it won't.
Artie,
And,
the hardest part of being a teacher is learning to hide that button. The number one thing is don't let those kids see you have that button.
Oh, excuse me, I'll be back in a minute. Hang on.
Yeah. Once you let a kid know you have a button that can be pushed, that kid and others will try to push it. The biggest thing is you just gotta Well, Ian, I went to a Jesuit high school. Ian, I went to a Jesuit high school, and yeah, half those teachers there, they only cared about the students whose parents wrote the big checks to the school. I paid my way through a private high school. I paid my own way. My dad couldn't afford to send me across the street. I paid my way through a private high school, straight A student. And I worked and worked and worked. I caddied, I mowed people's lawns, I did homework for people, charged a fee to do their homework for them. I did anything to make money legally. I didn't do anything illegally. And I grew up on a street in a neighborhood where I could tell you all the crack houses. I knew who the prostitutes were. I knew the bad houses. I spent most of my days fighting the gangs that wanted you to join. They didn't like the kid from the neighborhood that was doing well in school because it showed them up. So I've been stabbed growing up as a kid. I've been stabbed. I've been jumped. I've been jumped hundreds of times, and you just keep fighting. But most teachers care more about your kids than you think they do. But it's hard because unless you do the job of teaching, it's hard to explain what you do because I'm not unique. Most teachers do feel my way, but the job can wear on you. And the worst thing in the world as a teacher is I've seen friends, colleagues, 20, 25 years in that were great teachers, and all of a sudden the job just ate them up. And sometimes other things in life happened as well. And they're trying to crawl to the end. They're trying to crawl to that day of retirement. They're trying to, can I just survive 5 more years so I can retire? And people say, well, they can't do the job anymore. They should just quit. What else are they trying to do? It's not like you can walk out. You've got house payments, car payments, kids in college, blah, blah, blah. It's not, you just don't quit teaching and instantly find another job. So, but that's why you also see a lot of young teachers who come in, teach 3, 4, 5 years and quit. But it's And that's why my students look at me and they said, Mr. Dodge, you're still fun. Why do you want to retire? Because I want to go out while I'm still having fun. I don't want to hit that point, even after 36 years. I don't want to hit that point where I don't want to go to work tomorrow. And I've had days this year where I did not want to go to work. It's just been so crazy. My school has had so much insanity going on. I just don't, you wake up and go, oh, maybe I'll take a sick day today. And those started to happen. And that's why it is a good time to retire. Go out while I'm still winning, not hanging on until I can't play the game anymore.
That's really true with any job, Anthony.
It is. It truly is. But if you've been a car mechanic for 30 years and you get sick of the idiots that abuse their cars, don't treat them right, and then keep coming to you and saying you didn't fix it right, you got your job. And even in your job, I have a rule that I call the 10% rule. No matter what job you're in, from neurosurgeon to car mechanic, there's 10% of the people in that occupation that have no business being in that occupation. Now, some people say it should be higher, but deep down, there's like 10% that just absolutely, they need to be out of the job. But like I said, there are people that were awesome teachers for 20, 25 years, and then something got to them, and they're just crawling. And I've been doing this for, like you've heard me say a few times, 36 years. And you go out when you first think of going out. You don't want to be like some teachers I know that stayed a couple of years longer than they really wanted to. And it eats them apart because each day they get up and they don't want to do it. I've had a few days where I'll tell Joyce, God, I really wish I had gone to work today.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. I mean,
sorry, people, if you turned in for train talk, Artie and I got derailed a long time ago.
Well, I was going to show you a train here a little bit ago, but apparently my phone didn't want to play nice, and I had to restart everything. So now I'm on the road, and I don't even have my tripod with me. So
you'll find everyone wants to play nice.
Yeah, I'm going to stop up here at Truman and grab a little tripod out of the Walmart there. So.
Joyce would probably smack me in the back of the head for saying it, but if you know the number of times in the 30 years she's been teaching that she has come home in tears or near tears, either because something involved with one of her students or a parent just jumped all over her, or something happened. It's all jobs are tough. I don't think being a teacher makes me more special than being a car mechanic. I don't think being a teacher makes me, just like I don't think, yes, a neurosurgeon does a more important job, but in the end, we all have a job to do. And a car mechanic who knows the insides and out of a car has a field of knowledge that's equal to a medical doctor. The difference is the human body is more important than a car. But in the end, you have parts that work, and these parts have to work in tandem, blah, 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 blah. And so the intelligence levels are in different fields of knowledge, but the level of knowledge can be very equitable. I don't have job snobbery, and I don't like people that do have job snobbery. Like, my job is superior to yours.
Well, I mean, too, like, on just kind of bring it back to the trains a little bit. There's people quitting their job at the railroad because their jobs become so stressful. With these what they call the high vis policy they got now, it's really putting a burden on everybody.
It is. I think all jobs have become very stressful. Again, it borders on politics. But if you go back to when we shut our countries down, look at the jobs that were the most important, the jobs that were needed to keep this country going. Your grocery clerks, your Home Depot workers, these people. Yes, you still needed a doctor or this, but we didn't need the lawyers that much. We didn't need the politicians that much. We didn't, the people that we needed because we need to survive were all those workers that get minimum wage or, whatever. But the truckers, the mail people, those were the people that were keeping this country going.
Yeah.
But I love my job. I mean, I think it shows. My students say it shows. They laugh at me that I'm almost 60 years old and I'm dancing around the room and hey, let's go. And I'm putting all this energy for 6.5, 7 hours a day in the classroom, plus then go home and grade papers and try to do a train show and all that stuff. I think they're essential, Thomas. I certainly think rail is essential. I would sing the praises of all the rail workers here, all the truckers, all the transport people. I don't like to see it when truckers and rail people are put in competition with each other. You're both needed.
Yeah. Speaking of the trucks, I heard a Reddit deal where they're testing out 60-foot containers up in Canada somewhere. And, a lot of these truckers are complaining with the 53-footers they got now. Could you imagine if they had 7 more feet to them? They would be screaming. I remember, I can't remember exactly how many years ago this was. About 50, maybe 10, 15 years ago, they was talking about increasing the weight, making the trucks actually bigger, putting more weight in them. And both the truckers and the railroads had an absolute meltdown over it because the truckers were saying, hey, our trucks are heavy enough as it is. It's hard enough when we're going downhill, burn our brakes up and everything. And then the railroads came out and said if they went through with it, they would have to basically scrap their entire intermodal fleet and build a whole new intermodal fleet to haul the bigger trailers. And
yeah, I mean, I had uncles that were cross-country truck drivers, so I always respected the job. And that doesn't mean there aren't truckers on the road that drive like assholes, but I respected that. And one of the things is being into model trains and going online and starting to meet people from in the model train community. Obviously, like you, Randall, I meet a lot of people who work in the railroad industry. And that to me is a great thing to really hear your stories because you talk to me on Facebook and show me stuff that you work with on Facebook and show that. And I love to learn. I mean, I love to teach, but I also love to learn. And if I get something wrong, I like to be shown what I got wrong, so I can clarify it and then explain it to the next person. And but so I've been able to meet a lot of people in the rail industry now, and I don't know if you could say I have a better appreciation of them, but I definitely have a truer appreciation for all of them.
See?
Yep.
I remember there was a big issue going with road and rail down in Melbourne, where people wanted everything to go by rail, but there's the premier at the time, or the governor, turned around and said, look, it's not feasible for us to put a rail siding in every Target store or every Coles or Woolworths shopping centre. It's not feasible for us. You need your road as much as you need your rail, and rail needs road. West Australia, which is on the other side of the country, they said, they work the road and rail together because, as I say, neither of them can work together. Neither of them can be without each other, basically. The road can use the rail to make it efficient to get the freight across. But to get it from the rail to wherever it's got to go, it needs the road. So they did work out a good system over there, but it's a shame that the East Coast didn't adopt it. Yeah, so I've got my where's my train automation working now? Jesus. I'm trying to get my train up. Oh, it's messed up again. What's going on here? Yeah, well, trains don't want to play ball again.
Well, I didn't go to work every day, Thomas, but I worked every day. Going to work was getting up, taking a shower, and coming down here and talking to a blank screen for 6 hours. We shut our schools down March 17th of 2020, and I didn't go back into the classroom until April of 2021. So I taught from home for a year. And then when we went back into the classroom, I taught every day, but the kids came every other day. We had A group and B group, so we could sit them scattered, 6 feet apart. And so we didn't go back to full classrooms, normal school schedules until this school year started, which was August. Actually, we delayed it a week and started. We started this school year. No, we started this school year on time. 2020.
I don't know if Janet's still here or not. Janet will vouch for me on this one. Like, I really had to laugh when people turn around and said, "Oh, you can't give kids education from remote learning, from the internet and whatnot." Hey, we've been doing it here in Australia for nearly 100 years now. We've been doing it before the internet came along. Everything was done by radio and two-way.
There were parts of America where it was done that way too.
Yeah.
And closed circuit TV and everything else. But Artie, can it be done? Sure. But I will tell you right now, I would turn on my computer. Class starts at 8 o'clock. Class starts at 8 o'clock. My 25 students are supposed to be logged in. Okay, they all logged in, or 22 out of 25, whatever. They would log in. They might even put their picture up, but our system did not have a strong bandwidth, so we were encouraged to tell the kids to leave their cameras off to save bandwidth power from the video, to not use the video. But I will tell you right now, half my kids, half my students logged in, turned the volume down, video game in hand, cell phone in hand, for 5 hours a day. Can they learn from home? Yeah. Did they? No.
No. Yeah. Yeah. That's where the old-fashioned system comes in.
Yep.
Well, that's where you needed parent supervision. But again, single parents, some of them working, there's nobody home with the kids.
Yeah.
Or in some cases, both parents work. Like
yeah,
case
and if they have two parents, yeah.
My brother and his wife both work, so.
Okay, let me try something out here. Okay, that's better. I just want to, since I've got you guys here.
Artie's turned its whole back on this talk.
I have. Just bear with me for a minute. I'm trying to.
It's getting dark. Somebody just passed me without their headlights on.
No, I'd like this. See, normally I'd be able to say I have a new logo I could show you guys next week. I'll have a new logo to show you next week. But now, because it's in the hands of FedEx, it might be 2 weeks, 3 weeks before I can show it to you.
Unfortunately, I can't show you any locomotives either because I'm not at home. I'm in the van right now, so I can't show you any of my new toys either, Anthony. So don't feel bad.
Well, I bought one new one. I have one more that's supposed to come in before I leave for the United Kingdom. I have one more that's supposed to be released, but I might not see it till I get back from the UK because it's supposed to come out at the end of May.
Right.
So even if it does come in, it would be shipped in I wouldn't see it till I get back from the UK. Of course, Joyce about wrung my neck yesterday when I said I was thinking of buying a couple of locomotives while I was in the UK. She's just, after, everybody's talking about how happy Joyce and I are on camera and how great everything is, what a wonderful couple. As soon as that camera was off, she's like, you are not buying a locomotive in the UK. You do not need a British train.
But Anthony, tell her this. You don't have to worry about paying shipping now. You just go over there and buy it. You don't have to worry about the shipping. So you actually save money.
Well, hey, I do that logic with her, and she understands. Like when I'm in Germany, I see a locomotive and buy it. She's like, all right, we're good. But yeah, she did not like me joking about how many of these British trains I was going to buy. But actually, I am planning on picking up a Mallard. Even if it's just a shelf queen, I'm going to pick up an A4 Mallard.
There you
go. That's a old steam set the steam record, and they claim it still holds the record for steam. The A4 Mallard. But it's just a cool looking locomotive. But yeah, I wouldn't mind buying. Yeah, some of British. I wouldn't mind buying one of these high speed Azumas or the Class 800s. They look cool.
Okay, what's going on here? What don't you want to play?
And
my trains have forgotten how to run. It's been so long. Yeah, that's a joy you get when your trains don't run for a long time. They don't know what to do. I'll tell you what. I'll pop over. I'll sneak over across the border there, Anthony, and
Oh, come on.
Artie, you muted yourself.
Oh, hang on. What about now?
You're good.
Hear me all right now? Okay, good. Okay. I'm just going to say I can always sneak over the border from Canada and collect your mail for you.
No. Trust me. I was locking up my Railjet before you got here, too. That was going in a secure safe.
It's all right. I would have bought my lockpick.
That one ain't going to work. You're going to need a couple of sticks of dynamite.
I can bring them over.
There's only...
Okay.
I don't want to lose any of my trains, but the two I would be most ready to go on a murder rampage about is my Railjet and my ICE-4.
You're just lucky. You're just lucky your trains are safe because you run the 3-rail system. It'll be too much of a hassle me converting them back to 2-rail.
Yeah, it would have been much of a hassle because I'm sitting where you were going to be sleeping.
That's fine.
You would have been sleeping right in the middle here of my train. Actually, we were going to try to rearrange my daughter's sewing room back here and put the bed in there for you, but so you would have had privacy. But otherwise, yeah, we would have set the bed up right in the middle here, 60 inches wide, plenty of room.
Well, I'm just picturing it there and there. Like I could have made privacy there real easy. I could have put a sheet over the top on both sides and turned into a nice little tent.
Access to all the train controls.
Exactly. Yeah, I can count trains at night. I can count trains to put myself to sleep.
Sorry about that, guys. I had a call come in. Now they're wanting me to go back to Memphis and get another crew.
Memphis?
Oh,
where's
enjoy
Memphis?
that.
Yep.
Long distance information.
Tennessee. What's that, Anthony?
I was just going to say, Mike here asked about people doing pre-orders. I don't buy a lot of trains, although that may be changing. I do have a lot of trains now after 5-6 years of buying, But I watch guys that every week, hey, here's some new cars I picked up. A, I don't have a shop nearby I can go pick stuff up. B, I really do limit myself to modern era. So that makes it even harder. I tend to be passenger, and then I have specific things I'm looking for, so they're not necessarily available. So A, no shop. B, limited availability of things I want. Because I'm waiting to see, Maryland has not released their summer releases yet. They have not announced their summer add-ons. That should have been done by now. And because the UK companies have been, like Hornby and that, have been doing their summer releases, because they all announce at the beginning of the year, here's what's coming, and then they add some stuff in the summer and then in the fall. But Maryland, Pico, Brava, Rocco, none of them have released a summer catalog yet, because now and then I'll see something there. I have 3 trains currently on pre-order. And one of them is due to come out. At the end of May. The other one is July, and then the third one is listed as fourth quarter 2022. So that could be October, November, December, or it could be delayed. That's what I'm doing. I'm just waiting for that. There are a couple locomotives that have been released that were not on my pre-order list. They were on my maybe, if money and time allowed, I might pick it up, and they're out now. And I would like to buy them, but I can't spend any money now. Everything is focused on the trip to the United Kingdom here.
Yeah, well, I'm the only thing I'm focusing on now is there are a couple of them a couple of trains I do want to get. I do want to get the hybrid version of the ICE that we're going to be having here.
Okay.
But we have got these suburban train sets coming that are based on the Melbourne ones, one of my favourites, and they're coming out towards the end of the year. So those are the ones now that I really want to focus on getting, but that will be probably about my last lot of trains I'm going to get for a while. I need to expand on my layout. So I'm going to have trains running. I mean, okay, I can go backwards and forwards, but after all, it does get a bit monotony. I do like to have some trains running continuous as well.
Mm-hmm.
Majority of my trains are mainline trains, not just switching. So I want to get it finished. This last few days, I want to do a bit of work on my layout, but because of the showstopper knocking me out a bit, it's held me back. But I want to get back into it and finish the detail on this, so I can start on the next level, at least get the next level up in place before I have my shoulder surgery, which will be on 23rd of June, because I'm not going to be able to do nothing for another 4 or 5 months.
Go ahead.
Go
on. Okay. Because when I got into trains, because they are expensive. At least what I collect is expensive. And money was tighter. There were certain rules we had. Trains we had ridden on, but we've gone beyond that, because I've got the Czech Railjet, I've got the Austrian Railjet, which I've never ridden on. I've got a freight train, which I've never ridden on. I've got the 2 steamers. But, if I were to expand, one thing I would love is, I love high-speed trains. I would love to get a couple of versions of the French TGV. There is a Norwegian high-speed train, which I could get. It's in AC right now, and the shop has had it for 2 years and still listed as in stock. It's just sitting there waiting for me to buy it. And when I get...
Thanks for coming, Wigwag. Hey, James.
Take care.
Yeah.
Hi, James. How far are you getting on that? Tearing down? That's got to be a painful... I mean, I've already torn this down once and rebuilt it, and I didn't want to do it, but I had to do it. And I already have decided that that side, the Bremen side, is going to have a whole bunch of stuff ripped out and new stuff put in. I'm going to get rid of these really touchy, crabby turnouts and put the standard turnouts in. Again, it's always an argument. Are they points? Are they turnouts? Are they switches? German, they're called switches. I mean, they use the German word for switches, but they call them switches. But whatever you want to call them, turnouts, points, switches. They, I've got a couple up here that are the special ones. They're long. They're called long narrow, and they're touchy. And I've got certain locos that go over them, and it either creates a micro burst short, or they just don't like going over them. And I'm just going to get rid of them and go with the standard. So it's going to create a change in the mathematics of how this track is laid out on this side. But I wouldn't mind getting into, just having high-speed trains from around the world. I realize I do love high-speed trains. When I watch the UK channels, I can look at the steam and just love the engineering. I can look at a steam locomotive and just think men and women built that, amazing engineering. And I can appreciate that, but I don't really get into steam. And diesel is fine. Don't have an issue with diesel, but I just love these high-speed trains, whether it's the Italian Ferrara, what is it? The Ferrara Ermi, something like that it's called. I love the Class 800s, 801s in the UK. I think the GWR 800 is just a gorgeous train. That dark green with the silver trim and doors, just, call it. And that is an idea too, Thomas. That is definitely an idea. Because one of the things I was joking about with Joyce after we ended the stream yesterday is she was the one who about 2 months ago said, why don't I build a second shelf and just run my DC trains that I haven't been able to convert to AC, like my the Eurostar, the Yellow Submarine Eurostar, and just build a second level above my layout here and just make a loop for the two rails. We'll call it two rail and not get into that AC DC argument for those about to rock.
So this
was it a good Mike? Well, I hope you thought so. Take care.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, you see, that's not a bad idea. It'd be good to get. That'd be an interesting trip to go on to if you can get onto Anthony, because they're about to be retired in the UK. The HST, the old
Class 43. Because I love that train, that Class 43 with what they call the swallow livery. I think those are just. I think that's sharp. Yeah. And yes, I mean, when I first got into trains, there were a lot of guys that made fun of it. Girls would just pick trains based on their colors, And I felt really bad because half of my favorite trains are based on the livery, which is the color.
Good night, James. Take care of yourself.
All right, James. Yeah. Good night. So anyhow, you were saying I've taken over again.
Yeah. Well, see, the 125. You see, you got the Australian version too. The XBT, they're looking at doing a replacement for it. It just celebrated, 50 years in this. Hang on. Yeah, it just celebrated 40 years in Australia, and it's about to be retired too. But those sets go like hotcakes. I've been fortunate enough to go for a ride on it twice now. And I do intend to go on before my surgery. Since I was thinking, since I can't get to the US, I might as well go for a ride in that. I might take the Melbourne XBT. It's got the sleeping berth in it, so I might take that one to Melbourne, and just see what that one's like going to Melbourne. I've been to Dubbo with it, but go down to Melbourne, spend a couple of days there, and then head back home before my surgery. So do something different. Yeah. Yeah, I really need to get. I really want to finish this bottom layer wrap so I can start going up. And our friend Jean Ricard it sort of like gave me a bit of a reminder. I need to tidy up my wiring down at the back section there, so I'm going to do that before we get stuck up the top level here. So at least all the wiring on this bottom section is completed. I can concentrate on the next stage.
Yeah, Jean Ricard likes to give reminders.
No, it was good. It was good because, actually, I don't know where he is. I haven't seen him. Was he on your show yesterday?
Yeah, he came in.
Yeah.
But you got to remember, it is 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning now over there for him.
Yeah. Yeah. So, days are getting longer.
I think he's decided maybe he can't stay up that late.
Yeah. But I really want to start finishing this section off. I'm still debating whether I should continue on with my continuing or not, but that's going to be I want to do the continuing, but to get the hands on that stuff is getting very, very hard to get a hold of to complete the layout, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, it's just I can get bits and pieces. I can do a few little straights and whatnot, but I won't be able to. Can't get enough to finish the layout to have the one type of stanchions. So I'm tossing up. I think I might give it a. Even though I've got electric trains I want to run, I think I just do without it. I think.
Oh, hey, Split Rock.
Yeah, to name me a top 10 in high speed. Of course, you got the ICE and your.
All right.
And my rail jet.
My top 10 favorite goes by just livery, sex appeal. The Austrian Railjet number 1. Austrian Railjet number 1. In terms of my models, ICE4 would be next, but in reality, the Czech Railjet is number 2 because the Austrian Railjet is very sharp. The Czech Railjet is the same concept, just different color scheme. Also very cool. Then the ICE4. Actually, I probably like the looks of the ICE3 over the ICE4. But model-wise, my ICE4 is the coolest model I have. So ICE3. So let's go. The 2 Railjets, ICE3, ICE4. And then probably the I forget what the TGV, not the duplex, the French TGV, I forget what it's called, but it's a blue and silver. Then I would have to say the GWR Class 800 and 801s. Then I love the LNER. I forget what class that's called, but they're high speed goer. And I just saw something today. What is a 395? A UK high speed train 395. I thought was really cool, but I have to see more of it. The Transpennine Express over in the UK. Then the Norwegian A73. And again, I forget the name, but the Finnish cross-country double-decker train, the Finnish cross-country double-decker is just gorgeous, and I love it. And I don't know if that made it to 10, and if it made it only to 9, then I got to throw in one of the Canadian Govias.
Yeah, but Thomas, you got to remember that
it's gorgeous. Yeah. The Canadian Express.
Yeah. But the ICEs, you got different versions of the ICEs, Thomas. So you got to give them a break there. I mean,
yeah, they are different body styles. So body style and livery.
Yeah, I like the 3 better than the 4. I
I
like the small
probably
seven.
do. I think I would agree with that. The problem is my model is so cool. And I've not ridden on an ICE4 yet. When Joyce and I were supposed to go to Germany in 2020 and then again last year, and both times got canceled, we were scheduled to ride on the ICE4 4 times. We were going to be, the routes had the ICE4 taking us. The ICE4s are nice, but the Railjets, I've been inside a Railjet, and even the economy class seating is just amazing. They're gorgeous trains inside and out, and even first class is not expensive. Joyce and I splurged a little bit. Again, it got canceled, but we were going to take a high speed. We were going to take the Railjet first class because we normally ride economy class. Joyce and I travel cheap. We're tightwads. Which is something to say when you're in the model train business. But we were going to take a Railjet first class from Munich to Vienna. And we are so disappointed because those are gorgeous trains. And first class is something else. It's better than first class on an airplane. It's which I've never been. I've just
you see different countries. You see, just the one thing. It's like Australia, like one train trip the one trip that's worth doing for anyone that comes out to visit Australia. But you want to give yourself at least a month to do it. Is catch the Indian Pacific from Sydney to Perth to go right across the other side of the country, and you can put your car on it, or you have a rental car or whatnot. Like put the car on the back of the train, and you go across. You see one part of the desert, but instead of flying home, you drive home, and it's a long trip, I know. But you see another part of the country on the bottom part of Australia, pretty much follow the bottom outline of it. And the sceneries are different again. I mean, I've thrown some shots in my Fun Day Friday where you have all those big cliffs and that. That's actually on the southern tip. And you don't see that from the train because you're too far away. The nearest train line is probably 200 miles away from there.
Mm-hmm.
That's a nice train trip. The train trip I would like to do next in Australia, apart from the XBT, is go for a complete run on the line that I've worked on, and that's the Alice Springs Darwin rail line that goes right through the centre of Australia. Now, what I did was I still haven't found them. I used to transport rail clips, the tie clips, concrete tie clips, and concrete ties for the construction on the railroad, and also the locomotives and wheels while they were constructing it. I would like to go for a run on that line. I have gone to Alice Springs before when it finished, but I haven't gone all the way to Darwin.
Mm-hmm.
Just see what it's like out of the train. Now with a completed line, I mean, it was different from the road, but the rail line goes to some of the parts where different scenery.
I think it would be interesting to do the original Orient Express run, which they still do as a special excursion train ride, but it's so expensive. But it would be cool.
Yeah, because I believe. Hey, Joe, because I believe the original line. Hang on, I know he went to Hungary and Budapest, but I can't remember now where it went to Belgrade or not. I think it did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it did. It stopped in Belgrade, and then from Belgrade it turned around and headed down towards Turkey.
Yeah, all the way to Istanbul. All the way to Istanbul. Yeah.
Yeah, but I remember seeing it in the schedules and timetable when I was a kid. When I was not
Paris
a kid,
to Istanbul.
Somebody
checked me, but I thought the original Orient Express was Paris to Istanbul.
Yeah, it was. I'm thinking of the region whether it went to, because I know it went to Budapest. I know it went to Hungary. And I don't know whether the original one went to Belgrade or not, but I know that before from the 70s to the late, before the war, the Civil War broke out in Yugoslavia, it used to actually stop in Belgrade
Mm-hmm.
and then continue on from Belgrade down. I don't know if it still does or not, but I know they are redoing the line between Belgrade and the Hungarian border. They're electrifying it now. One of my subscribers, and I've actually subscribed to him, his work, and he's got shots of them doing electrification at Novi Sad,
Okay.
which is part of the rail line. Let me see if I can find him here. I know he's put some.
Well, for those of you that are still watching, do you guys have a dream train trip? You know, throw it out there. Throw it out there. Randall, do you have a dream train trip? Because Joyce and I, we have two. We want to do an Amtrak cross-country train ride. We want to go cross-country by train and back. You know, take one route out and try to come back a different route. Take a couple of weeks and do that. And then we want to do cross-country, the Canadian Rocky Mountain Express. We also want to do the Swiss Glacier Express. We would love to do the Swiss Glacier Express through the Alps.
That's the one I'll get there.
I'll tell you, I would eventually like to get on Amtrak one of these days, but one train I would kind of like to ride is the Branson Scenic Railroad in Branson, Missouri. That train is a really cool train to ride, from what I've seen of it on YouTube and whatnot. It has like a vintage F unit pulling it, and all the cars are from like the 50s. It's kind of like your vintage 50s train, sort of. And it just looks like a really cool ride. You ride through the Ozarks on it. And you know, it just seems like it'd be a fun ride. Plus, during December, they have what they call the Polar Express, which is really cool to get the kids involved in that. I think the advertisements I've seen, they serve like hot chocolate, and the kids get the Polar Express read to them on the train, which is really cool.
Right.
But yeah, Branson Scenic Railroad would be a real cool train to ride on.
Okay, guys. Now this is not a spam or anything else, so my mods don't block this one. This guy here, I think that's right. Yeah, that should be right.
Well, that might be the.
And they also have a GP30 for all the GP30 fans that might be listening.
Just click that link there, will you? It should take to. Yeah. Now that's the guy. It's in Serbia. He's not far from my mum's region, and he's actually showing bits and pieces of Novi Sad, which is a city north of Belgrade, heading towards the Hungarian border. It's being electrified. It's going to be part of the European rail network.
Yeah.
So they're redoing all the stations. Novi Sad's going to be a main station anyway. Duplicating the lines, electrifying it. It's actually quite interesting. So it's worth having a look. So it looks like they might be doing an electrified Trans-European Express line there, Anthony.
Okay. Because we got to vote for the Shinkansen. I wonder if that would come up with somebody. I'm curious about that one too. There is, I forget what it's called, maybe Roy or maybe even Randall. There is a golden train, a Japanese golden Shinkansen or something like that.
I didn't know that. I know they got
$3,000. It's to ride Tokyo to Kyoto. It's $3,000. It's like
Wow.
super high luxury. It's $6,000 or $8,000 to do the whole cross country with it. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a train for the rich and famous. But yeah, it's crazy. But it's like super luxury.
I never had the chance. I never had enough time and chance to ride it. When I used to fly near Osaka, I mean, I used to run from Osaka up into Tokyo, and I never had the opportunity. I never had the time. I wasn't there long enough to be able to jump on it and go to Tokyo and come back and make sure I'm rock up enough time to start my shift. So, yeah, I would like to do that.
Doesn't China have a really high-speed train, some sort of maglev train, high-speed? That would
they got a high speed. They got a high speed.
I don't want to go to China. I don't ever want to go to China, but riding a maglev would be really interesting.
Some of the guys before all the crap started, there was a whole bunch of guys here in Australia that end up doing a trip from Sydney. Well, actually, they started from the top end, and they went. Did they start from Perth or did they start at the top end? They zigzagged around Australia, gone up as far as Darwin. That's right. The Alice Springs Darwin line was open then. Okay. They went all the way up to Darwin. Then they skipped from over there up into Vietnam, caught the train from Vietnam all the way over into China. And then from China, they made their way all the way over to London. And what it was, I think they had 4 weeks, 5 weeks. They'd done the actual. You can pretty much say around the world trip on a train, pretty much.
Yeah,
and it cost $9,000, $10,000 to do.
Oh yeah, there was one Joyce and I looked at because I forget who mentioned it to us a few months back. Just said, "Hey, Anthony and Joyce, have you ever thought of this one?" And we looked it up, and it was like complete cross the world by train, except where you had to go over the ocean. Like you flew from. You flew from somewhere in China to Tokyo, and then you did the Shinkansen, and then you left Tokyo and went down to Australia. And then from Australia, you went up to Hawaii and flew from Hawaii to LA, then from train to LA to New York to Paris, France, and then Paris all the way across. And you could pick where you wanted to start. And you have alternate routes you could take. Like you could take this northern route through Leningrad, Russia, or Leningrad. Oh my God, did I just age myself? St. Petersburg. Or you could take a southern route and go this way, blah, blah, blah. But it was $22,000, not including car rentals.
It's one of those lifetime events. It'd be if we're going to do a trip of a lifetime, that would be one of those trips.
My thing is, I literally sat down and jotted it out and looked at various trains, and I could have done a Euro rail pass for Joyce and me. We could have done that same trip with airfare. For like less than 10,000.
Yeah. But it always depends what gets thrown into it as well.
It was so expensive. Yeah. By the way, that's what I wanted to ask when I was talking about the Chinese maglev. I'm going on just obscure memory here. Doesn't it go like 500 miles an hour, or was it 500 kilometers an hour? Can't the Chinese maglev hit up to like 500 or 600 kilometers an hour? I know I can Google it real quick, but maybe somebody knows off the top of their head here. I know it will never really happen. I would love to have mass transit and high-speed trains cross country the United States. I've driven from one end of this country to the other in one, well, not in one drive, but over a 3-day period. I've driven 1,300 miles nonstop in a go. But I I used to love to drive the highways, but now I'd rather ride a train, man. Riding trains.
Both the Bullet Train Japan and the TGV would be cool trains to ride.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
If I had to pick two abroad to ride, those would be the two I'd pick.
Yeah, the TGV would be very cool, especially if you could get it high. Get it in one of the places. I forget if it's Paris to Nice or something like that, one of them, or Paris to Marseille, where it makes like 2 stops and it will get up to its maximum speed. I have been on an ICE that was doing an ICE 3 that was doing 260 kilometers an hour. That's the fastest I've been on a train. It was going from Bremen to Berlin, and it was their quick express. It made it stopped at Magdeburg, and it went Bremen, Wolfsburg, Magdeburg, Berlin, and didn't stop anywhere else. And between Magdeburg and Berlin, it hit 250 kilometers an hour, or 260 kilometers an hour, which is like 150 miles an hour. That's the fastest I've gone. The ICE 3s can go up to 320 kilometers an hour, but they never hit that speed. But they can go that speed. That's what I thought, Roy. Thank you. And that's what really did it for me, was traveling by train in Germany. Oh my God, it's so much easier than driving. And when you factor in the cost of gas, especially in Europe, it's cheaper. It's cheaper, and it's so much easier. And you think about, well, in a car you have a little more privacy, and that's true. You can have a little bit more serious talks or arguments or whatever you want to have. But Joyce and I love to travel by train. She loves to sit by the window. I love this. I like this. But Joyce needs to be sitting next to the window in the direction the train is going. She does not like going backwards. She needs to be going forward. She gets very motion sick. But we can just sit there and mildly talk and just stare out the windows. Ooh, look at that. And, in Germany, it's just tree, hill, short hills. A lot of flat land in Germany, too. And then just a huge sudden array of orange, which is all those terracotta roofs that all these little villages have. And then it's green. And then another big thing. And then you watch the rivers, and you watch. We rode an EC, the Euro Express, the Euro City Express. We rode that from Dresden to Prague. Oh my goodness, northern Bohemia, that part of the Czech Republic. Northern Bohemia was just beautiful. Soft rolling hills that get up to a couple it was so beautiful. I was so thrilled to have seen something like that. Yeah, the Shinkansen Grand Class. Yeah. Oh, that sounds about right. All I remember is it was gold, painted gold. But holy cow, that's a crazy one. That's that. I could do that. I have no desire to go to Asia. I have no desire. I don't need to go to Japan. It's not on my bucket list. If something came up where I had to go to Japan, I would, but it's not something I've got to do or I want to do. My world is Europe. I've got so many places in Europe I still want to see, and things I still want to do in America and Canada. I've seen the Rockies many times, but I'd love to see the Canadian Rockies, and I would love to go to that part of Canada. I've been through Southern Ontario many times. I've been to Niagara Falls 10, 11, 12 times. I've been to West Virginia. I've been whitewater rafting in West Virginia several times on the New and the Gully River. Joyce and I have many times. West Virginia is beautiful. It's gorgeous. Don't know that I could live there. I'm a bit of a city person. I need to be in a city, but I can survive in the country. That attitude country folk have. That you city folk can't survive. I know how to hunt and fish and kill what I need to kill to eat. But I'm a city person. I don't need to kill it if I don't have to. But I love going to the country. I love seeing them out. And Joyce is in love with rivers. Joyce has already picked 3 cities in Germany that she would move to tomorrow if it were feasible. Maybe so, Roy. I'm going by a just quick video I saw about 3 years ago on YouTube. But I swear I thought the outside had been painted gold too. That it was a Shinkansen. It was gold on the outside, but maybe I'm just remembering the inside and projecting.
Yeah, I've never heard of the gold Shinkansen. I've heard of the. I know they got the Evangelion train that they did a couple years back, but that's the first time I've ever heard of a golden one.
Yeah, I don't know of any really gold painted trains. Now, Märklin, for example, made an HO train of a famous German train called the TEE, the Trans-European Express. And they made it gold plated, and they were selling it for $2,800. HO scale model, seven cars and the locomotive. And to get the set, you had to pre-order it, pay in advance, and it was like $3,000.
Right. See, since we're talking about golden ball trains,
not a real thing. Rivers are
since we're talking about ball trains, Lionel and MTH both did gold Hudsons.
Today,
the Lionel gold Hudson, I think, was to commemorate their 100th anniversary.
okay.
And I read somewhere that engine was worth around $10,000, just the engine by itself.
Wow.
So
solid gold.
And the MTH version, I don't really know that much about it. Even how much it's worth, I just know they kind of did a duplicate of that one Lionel did. But what was really cool was they put names of all the names of the pioneering model train makers. They had A.C. Gilbert and Lionel, Joshua Lionel Cowan on 2 of the cars. And they had, I think, the guy that owned Marks at the time as named on one of the cars as well. I'd have to go back and watch that video again, but it's a really cool train.
Mm-hmm. I should do that as a topic on one of my streams. Is we're talking about like most expensive models and maybe stupidest models ever put out. You know, everybody would have their hate, their hate target. I actually couldn't think of it where, why I would laugh at a gold-plated model train. Where it's not. It's a model of a train, and they just put gold plating on it and charge $3. To me, that was stupid. But some guys bought it. They wanted that deluxe model, which is fine. Hey, if you got the money and that's what you want to spend it on, go for it.
Well, I could see why Lionel did it with their Hudson, to commemorate 100 years.
Yeah, well, I wasn't saying that was stupid. I was saying the TEE.
No, I know you weren't saying that, but I was just saying,
ever seen?
Yeah.
No. What I was trying to say is, have you ever seen, Randall? Have you ever seen, and maybe people in the chat as well, ever seen a model where you look at it and go, "Why on earth did they make that model? Who's going to buy it?"
I mean, I've seen models where they would make stuff and you're like, really? People would really actually buy that? Apparently they would, so.
I don't know if any of you guys from back in the late 70s, early 80s, probably more in the 80s, in the Model Railroader magazine, there was I think it was a Marklin locomotives, the crocodile that was being sold for £22,000. In Australian dollars, that'd be worth, you can say $50,000.
Back then,
the detail on it and everything else was like the Swiss, Swiss watches and whatnot, but £22,000. And I remember seeing it in the magazine for nearly 3 years in a row. That is a very expensive lacquer, man. I don't know if anyone ever bought it or whatnot, but £22,000. That's
I'm sure there was some guy out there that bought it just to say he bought it. And by the way, I am not mocking gold painted trains. I just thought the TEE in gold was a little crazy. There's nothing wrong with gold plated, gold tint.
Yeah.
Bronze, gold. There's nothing wrong with that. I just thought the TE was silly, and it just made me think about trains that you just go, what were they thinking?
Yeah.
And the thing is, they obviously researched. There's somebody out there who wanted to buy that train. I mean, some of us laugh at steampunk, but there's a huge steampunk group out there that wants steampunk style trains, you know?
Yeah.
And on the flip side of that, there's trains that they produce that you think, man, them things would probably sell great. People will probably line up to buy them, and they flop.
Yeah.
I remember this interview I saw with Scale Train's president Shane Wilson, where he was talking about the carbon black hopper cars. And see, I have 2 of those cars, and I thought when they announced them, because I remember when they first came out with them, I thought, man, people probably line up to buy them because literally nobody made those cars in HO or in. And in the interview with Shane Wilson, he said those things absolutely flopped. He said they lost their shirt on those things, and that was surprising.
See, these are all great topics to me as somebody still relatively new in the hobby. You know, I hear from UK guys and American guys all the time. Why has this never been made? You know, there's a topic. Why has this never been made? There is this train everybody loves and they've never made a model of it. Or maybe somebody made one 50 years ago and they never remade it. I hear that from the UK. Like, this thing, they just keep, you know, because in the UK, I hear the biggest complaint I hear from the UK is they just, like, Hornby constantly reuses the molds, the same old molds, or like they bought these molds from Lima Company 50 years ago and they just keep reusing them, and they need to modernize and update. But like, to me, for example, Merklin constantly releases what is it, the 103. It's a locomotive, it's a electric locomotive, the 103. Every year they release a 103. Every year. Imaginary schemes. And it's like, doesn't everybody have a 103 by now? And I don't really like it. I don't think it's an attractive locomotive, but every year they release one. There's a couple of steams where every year, obviously they're popular. People do like these, but it's like they could take a year off. And then there are locomotives, I think, for example, I've been after, well, I've got it now, you know, the same one I keep showing you guys, my little Acme, my Swiss 370, or Swiss, my Czech 371. I was after this forever, and I bought this one because finally a company made a Czech 371, and I wanted this because Joyce and I actually rode a Czech train that was pulled by a 371 locomotive. You guys have seen this many times, this beautiful, I'm not going to take it out of the box, but I'll just put it up there. You guys can see that. But this is 2-rail, and I needed 3-rail. And I talked to a guy about converting it. And he says, oh, yeah, I can convert it, but you need these parts. And I've been talking to Acme off and on for 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, however long it's been. They don't respond. They're an Italian company, and they don't respond. I got one letter that said, try this company. And this company says, we don't have it. Try Acme. And I was hoping some guy would just say, I can do it. I haven't even asked my guy in California because he's done some tricky jobs for me, but I may break down and ask him to do this. I'll send it to him before I go to, I'll ask him if he thinks he could do it and just jerry rig it somehow. But that would be putting a lot on him because he'll do conversions of things that can be converted. But the guy in Italy said, no, these really are not easy to convert without the right parts.
Well, I did know a guy up the road near Gary's place that would have done it, but he's left the store now, so I don't know. He used to be able to do the conversion of the 3-rail and whatnot.
Okay.
Postage might be a little bit expensive, but
maybe I'll advertise that on your channel here, my channel, and start saying if there's anybody who does trainings and would be willing to do it, I'll ship it to you and pay your price. I mean, up to a point, you know. Oh, that'll be $500. No, it won't. But you know, I paid
I'll do for
$300 for that loco, and it's sitting here doing nothing.
I'll do for $500 US, no problem.
I'd have to look into that. I'm figuring. Look at that kink. You mean look at that link? What kink? Hey, this is a PG-13 show, or at least a PG. You want me to look at kink? I have no idea.
It's an MA show. It's not a PG. It's an MA.
MA. I got you. Mature audiences only.
MA,
then I guess we can look at the kink. All right, what kink you got?
Hang on. Let me change it over. I can always make it 18 plus. So
I got some gay Puerto Rican rail porn if you'd like the link. Whatever a gay Puerto Rican whale does, I don't know, but you know. I'm sorry, we're just teasing you, George. We're just teasing. But you know, the thing is, I was so desperate for that loco, and one company, Pico, made it 10 years ago and never re-released it. And then what really sucks is this company released it, and they do AC and DC rails, and they released both paint schemes for this, but they only did them in DC. But they released the next model up, the 373, which I don't want, but they're similar. They released the 373 in AC, and I'm like,
yeah, I never done a conversion of 3 to 3-rail. I know there is a chap not far from me that knows how to do it, but no.
No, like I said, so there's somebody that says, I know how to do it. I mean, we have specialists. Like there's a place called Helmut's Hobbies, which is based in Virginia. And Helmut is known to my community.
Yeah.
Helmut's is known to my community because they do European trains. And the guy at Helmut says he could convert it, but he needs all these parts. And he gave me a list, and I can't get any of those parts. And I really thought it'd be like just drill a hole. You know, you have to rewire the motor. You have to rewire the motor. You have to set up the pickups to work with the shoe. You know, we call it a ski, but technically it's called a shoe. But we call it the ski. Those of us in the 3-rail world, we call it a ski. You know, so if you want to be cool, you know, you call it ski. But the pickup shoe. But I would love to get this thing running. This is a pipe dream. I want this running on my layout. And I was stupid. I bought it before seeing how easy it would be to convert it. Because most trains are relatively easy to convert DC to AC. It's much harder to go AC to DC, but you just pop the wires in 2 different places, and then you run your pickups down to the shoe, and you put the shoe in, and you run the pickups there. It's a little bit of work. And there are guys that have videos on YouTube on how to do it, but I'm not going to experiment on my, and I know people say, well, buy a cheap one and experiment and then learn how to do it. But according to the guy from Helmut's Hobbies, this is a tricky one to do.
Yeah. So that's like, well, I've got some of my Australian rolling stock, some of the engines, and to convert them over to DCC, I mean, it'd be nice to do it, but I want to put in the Tsunami 2 decoders in them, but I'm too worried about the way they've done the wiring in it that I'm going to mess it up. Because they just won't. The guys that are producing it will not. What's the word? They haven't given us enough information in regards to the LEDs and the voltages and everything else.
Sorry, guys. It got kind of tied in here while I was driving.
Ah, okay.
It's okay. We'll forgive you.
But and we talked about this 2 weeks ago, I think it was. Going back to trains, like when Tycho was trying to survive, and keep the model train hobby relevant, and start making all these space age trains, and I don't know, was that I always thought it was stupid. I mean, I remember being 15 in the late 70s and 15, 16 in the late 70s. And I wasn't into trains to begin with, but seeing those Tycho space trains going up and doing it wasn't going to compete with the Star Wars toys and everything else. And I just thought it was stupid of them to do that, but I was an outsider to the model train world. But I know a couple of you, I think Randall, you said you thought they were cool, but as an outsider, I thought that's just, trains and space didn't mix. And maybe it was just
well. And
go ahead.
Yeah,
I was just going to say, talking about engines they don't make anymore. Like when we was discussing, what was it, last week or week before last, about the Atlas C30-7s, where they only made them just a few years, and they've never made them again in 21 years, I guess now.
Okay.
Since 2000. So, and then fast forward to now, Broadway Limited has had their C30s out for, oh gosh, probably close to a decade now, and they're still offering them.
Okay.
So, how good they are, I don't know. I don't have a Broadway Limited engine, so I don't know how good they are. So,
gotcha.
I've heard people say the Blue Liner is better than the Paragon 4 version they have out now. So,
because that's a whole different world when you think about when we talk about we always talk about our community, and we do have our fields, DC versus digital versus analog, and which digital involves the DCC, the chips, and then everybody has their different chips. Like when I first got into trains, all the European guys, ESU and Lentz were the best decoders. Everybody else was below. And now I run into several people like, no, we don't like ESU. But ESU was always the gold standard when just 6 years ago when I got into it, because ESU designed the Maryland Central Station, and ESU designed a few other things. And Maryland chips were originally made by Lentz, and Lentz went their own way. Maryland is Motorola, Maryland Motorola. That was their programming language, basically. I mean, I know that's not 100% accurate way to describe it, but I always keep it simple, as opposed to the DCC language. And now Maryland is MFX, but Lentz made their chips for a long time. But all the European guys, ESU, Lock Pilot, Lock Sound, that was the gold standard. That even if you had a Maryland train or whatever, and ESU got very big-headed about it, like, hey, we make the famous control system, the ECOS, we make the best chips in the world, we're going to just start making our own trains. And they charge an arm and a leg for them. Yeah. I've got some ESU cars. I haven't bought a locomotive, but I got some ESU cars. They're beautifully detailed. They're expensive, but they're fragile and they frustrate me because they definitely need a bit of weight added to them. Those were the ones I was having trouble with on my Friday live stream a week ago Friday. They constantly uncouple, they constantly derail, and they're fragile. You touch something and you snap something off. And for the price, I didn't look at that. Now I hear people saying, oh, ESU's not that good. I hear a lot of Americans saying that as well. And some of the guys in the UK, oh, ESU decoders, the Lock Sound 5.0 isn't very good. And it shocks me because in the European train world, ESU was the gold standard.
Well, since we're I was just going to say, since we're talking about ESU Look Sound 5, I have several of the Scale Trains engines I have are equipped with that decoder, and the Bowser and the let's see, what's the other one I got that's got it? The Atlas B40-8 that I got all have
Okay.
ESU Look Sound 5s in them, and to me they're good decoders. They're good performing decoders. Good, they have good motor controls and everything. Now, some of
Hi,
the
Jeff.
sounds like the air horns and stuff are kind of hit and miss. Soundtrack Tsunami 2, I think, on some of their air horns are better than the ESU, and I like the how do I want to put this? The acceleration deceleration tables that Soundtracks has better than on the ESU decoders. But as far as
Yeah.
just overall motor and sound performance, I like ESU. I mean, I have no complaints about it.
Well, I like the American chips, which I think might still be manufactured by Lens, but even American guys are like, ESU is better than American chips. You guys know my black and white, or not black and white, black and white 218. That was released. Everybody loved the look of it. To me, it is my best running locomotive since I've had it for the last month. I want to run it every time I do my live feed. I haven't. I've given it a rest, but I want to run it every day because I love it. It's my best polar. It's runs smoothly. All its functions are cool. But the German pros, they were like, Märklin did all these things right. It's a gorgeous locomotive. But the sound is wrong. They did not use the correct 218 sound. They were so upset that the sound was not right. That they used the old 218 and not the new 218 sound or whatever, and it doesn't match. And I listened, and maybe I hear a difference, but to me, it's just as much the speaker in the train as opposed to they used the wrong sound file. But the pros, all of them were up in arms about it.
Yeah,
And
a lot of times it's a lot of times it comes down to the speaker because you see we've got two engines here. Like the 44 class, one of my favorite diesels. It's I can't remember what Alco engine it's in it at the moment. Out of all the Alco engines, it sounds different. Now, one of the ones that you'll see that would support in the passenger cars, they pretty much have the similar engine in them. I mean, actually, no, it's got a similar engine to the RS3s, the RS3s and the S3, S4s, the American ones. But they sound totally different. Well, this one here that's coming around now in front of the screen. They all got their own unique sound, and it's hard to replicate. Then you got, it's packed away at the moment. We have a what we call an EL class that used to be the high-speed train for both freight and passenger. They used to go across to Perth. It's a 563. Correct me if I'm wrong. The most common EMD engine there, Randall. 560.
Say again, you broke up. You broke up just a little bit there.
The EMD engine, the first generation or the second generation, 560 something they were.
Ooh.
I can't remember the model of the engine, but it's got a whine in it. I mean, it's got a specific sound. It's almost like it's a crossbreed with the British Electric with a Fairbank Morris engine. It doesn't sound like an EMD, so I mean, it's really every engine's got its own unique sound. Even in cars, you can have two Dodgers, for example, the same year model and everything else. They'll sound different. None of them would actually ever sound unique. It sound the same.
Now, I'm such a Dodge techie that if I a 400 engine in a 73 Charger, a 400 engine in a 73 Charger sounds the same in any 73 Charger. But the 440, I can tell the difference between the 440 and a 400 engine, and I can tell the difference between a 400, a 426, which was the Hemi, and then the 440, which was the big boy. And I can tell the difference, but if I listen to 273 Chargers with the 400 engine in it, to me they do sound alike. But like I said, these guys, they had the wrong 28. They used the 216 sound and not the 218. How could they get that wrong? And yet American will have videos on their site where they go out and they've got their sound techs out there. Crank up the locomotive, and they're showing, guys, we put a 218 sound. Here's the 218 sound we put on. American got a little defensive and put out the video saying, here we are recording the 218 sound. This is the sound we used. So, but if it's something you're passionate about, you're going to find the things, we tease about rivet counters, but we're all rivet counters about something.
To a degree, yeah.
We are all rivet counters about, there's that one train, there's that one consist, there's that one thing everything else we don't care about, but by God, that better be right.
I'll tell you guys a funny story, and I still have this engine. I've never had it on YouTube before, but I still have this thing. I bought a Atlas B40-8 in the BNSF scheme. This has been about probably close to 10 years, 8 or 10 years by now. But it's got an MRC sound decoder in it, a model rectifier sound decoder in it. It does not have the GE sound in it. Instead, it's got the Alco C424 sound in it, so it sounds like an Alco.
Yeah.
But it's a modern General Electric 4-axle locomotive, body and frame. So it's kind of hilarious. If I ever get this thing on video, you'll obviously hear it, but it's kind of humorous that here's this modern looking GE engine, and it sounds like an Alco from the 1950s or from the 1960s. I mean, so
yeah. Like you say, with a lot of my earlier Australian rolling stock that I've got, I haven't got them running on the layout now. I end up going to ESU for two reasons. One, they were the only decoders that would actually fit inside the shell, because the room is very premium inside the Australian models. And the other feature that pretty much got it, that I went into Australia, like we have the conductor's whistle or the guard's whistle, like we have on the English trains and some of the European trains.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have in US. And of course, if you want to get close to prototypical sort of running or give it some sort of authenticity of your running of your train, you usually blow your whistle before the train takes off. And one of my trains are stuck. And that's why I went to the ESU. Now, my preferred sound is soundtracks. It sounds a lot better. It sounds a little bit more beefier. But when it comes to reliability, soundtracks has been a lot better for me than the ESU. I've already had another engine locomotive I put on the layout just recently. The double-ended B unit.
Well,
The sound's gone on it. I mean, the volume of it is so faint now on it. I need a hearing aid just to hear it. Wait.
I didn't realize my navigator was still on, so I thought I shut it off.
And see, my guy in California is a licensed Pico, P-I-K-O, the German company Pico. He's a licensed Pico dealer, and when I bought a Pico locomotive from him and had him convert it to AC because there was no AC version of it, and he said, "What chip do you want in it?" And he says, "And I'll tell you right now, you don't want a Pico chip in it." And he didn't put an ESU. I'm trying to remember who he did. I think it was a Wiesmann decoder. I didn't even know Wiesmann made decoders. Which, and I like it. It sound, but Jeff down here wrote that he loves DCC sound. That is one of the things that really turned me on to the model train hobby when I got in a few years ago. As I always tell everybody, it was riding trains and developing a love for trains and travel by train. But then once I started seeing what trains could do today, I'm a techie guy in terms of I love what they can put in. I don't buy a locomotive unless it's got strong digital functions, all the sound effects, the lights, everything. My cars don't all have lights in them because they don't always make them lit.
Compared to joint view, Randall.
But I am hugely into the sound effects and everything.
Yeah, you see, Thomas. You see, you're more than welcome to come up. You see the difference between. Again, okay, I'll deal with it in a minute. The packet decoders between the ESU and the soundtracks. The soundtracks one is about 1 millimeter or 1.5 millimeters thicker in thickness than what the ESU one is, and that 1.5 millimeter is just enough not to be able to put the shell back on its spot on the Australian models. That's how much premium space we have on the top. I've got a train to out again.
He's got trains running in the background, Jeff, and one keeps derailing. And Randall just dropped his phone.
Yes.
No, fortunately, I didn't drop it this time, Anthony.
Oh, okay. Just sounded like it.
Yeah.
See, this is me. I sit away from the camera, don't touch anything. I didn't even run trains today. I probably should have turned a couple of trains on and let them go in the background here.
I just got mine running because somebody was complaining that I wasn't running any trains. Is this a train show or something, You
got to keep the audience
There's
happy,
always
man.
going to be one. Not
You
that
gotta
I'm
keep
mentioning
this
any
audience happy.
names there.
These bastards get picky. I tell you, Artie, you got to keep this audience. Oh, wait, I just said that in front of them, didn't I? I called them bastards in front of them. Well, you are, you bloody bastard. Picky, you're not running your train the right way. You're not running trains at all. You're not doing this. You're not talking trades. Hey, they're just a tough crowd to please.
Well, we weren't leading up to it. We were just warming up.
We have to warm up, Artie. It takes us an hour to warm up.
Exactly right. I mean,
and especially since you're under the weather and I've had a wild week, you got to have the storm clear out the clouds, right? You got to have the storm and then the sun will come out. Tomorrow, tomorrow there'll be
we had an Antarctic blast last night here, and I got to go up or got to get someone to go up and have a look at my TV area because it's knocked out half of my channels out, which is very disappointing because there's on Sunday nights here now we have 3 hours of
I'll be back in just a second.
Of train shows. They got one with Australian trains, and then we got the series on Hornby, and then there's another guy that doing all the tour trains around the world, mainly from the US. I can't remember his name. So somehow I've got to try to get the aerial fixed to get the signal from that channel. I noticed that the aerial's been a little bit damaged from the wind, so I might attempt to get up there on the ladder later. I'm allowed up there. I'm still on my own property.
Oh, I have got so many. I was mentioning on my live feed yesterday. I've got my live stream yesterday.
Oh,
I've got
that's it, Nancy. That's it. You're in the bad books now.
Okay.
Only kidding. It's
I just,
only kidding, Nancy.
I've got 3 new parody songs I'm working on. I don't know when they'll be out because I usually wait till after the Matt Clark stuff is done, but I already got them in my head. I've got the music for one, although I'm trying to find one that's not copyright. The other one, Roy sent me a file. I haven't messed with it yet. I'm like 20 emails behind. I got so many emails the last few days, and I've been, when I wasn't doing the live feed, like yesterday I did the live feed, then as soon as our live feed ended, Joyce and I had to go take care of dinner, and then we went to a movie. We didn't get back from the movie until after 10, and then we were tired and went to bed. We got up today, and I was working on some Matt Clark stuff, getting some voices done and making an episode 20. I really want to get all the episodes done before I leave for the UK. So I've got 3 more episodes to do where I've got to do voices and film, because we just released episode 17. Next week's 18. I've got 19 in the can now, but I've got to do episode 20. Well, I've got to do episodes 21, 22, 23. So I've got to film 3 more episodes. I got to do the voices and film them. But I got swamped. Everybody and their grandmother put up YouTube videos, and I try to watch all my channel's videos and comment on all of them. Although right now, if they're putting up shorts, I might just give it a thumbs up. If it's 10 seconds, I'm not going to take 20 seconds to type something. Yeah, so I will catch up with that, Roy, and see how you did with that. I appreciate the effort, or whatever you found, because I was looking all over YouTube for karaoke versions, anything I could work with. I've got audios, and I try to take voices out myself, but I screw something up. But yeah, I need the song Talk Talk by the band Talk Talk. I need an instrumental version of that song, because it's Joyce's favorite song. It's not her favorite song, but she likes it. She thinks she wants to sing it, and it's called Talk Trains. All you do to me is talk trains. Talk trains, talk trains. All you do to me is talk trains.
All right, appreciate it.
I'm going to need to get in contact with a friend of mine down in Victoria, not far from Greg Midsummer, see if he'd do the karaoke version. He's a musician. Him and his son, they got a band together. So,
well, if I could get a friend in a band who'd do that. Yes, my trains
I don't know how it'll go, because he's more into heavy metal than anything else. Might do a heavy metal version.
Hey, all garage bands have to start by doing covers.
Yeah.
Thomas, yes. And in fact, I can actually throw 3/4 of my switches just from here on my Central Station 3, just like a lot of guys wire them and have a little switch to open them. Mine are all digital. They have decoders on them. And yes, I can. Do I? No, because I'm running 6 trains. I have 6 operable lanes, or lines, whatever you want to call them. I call them lanes. I'm sorry, guys. I call them lanes. I have 6 operable lanes, and I have 6 trains running during my live streams. But, for example, I'll throw them when I'm switching trains, like when I'm parking one train and, to get ready for the next live stream. Then, yeah, I throw them and move them. If I had a place to park all my trains, I suppose I could do a show where I just ran 2 trains and had them switching back and forth and changing over. But I've still got some that need decoders. So yeah, that it can be done. I just don't do it. But yeah, it's technically easy for me to do. But I still have a few turnouts that don't have decoders in them. But that, again, that's what's cool about Miraklin, and I've shown this so many times, but in case nobody has ever seen me do it before, shh, it's the wife. Don't tell her what we were talking about.
Oh, what? Yeah, bet your other 2 wives.
What?
And you,
Did you hear what she said?
no, I missed it.
You're not
Who
buying
just-
trains in England.
No,
Oh,
you're buying
wow.
trains. No, you're not buying trains in England. You're buying trains in the UK. That's what you said. You didn't say you're buying trains in England. You're buying trains.
Thank you, Artie. Thank you, Artie, because we're going to Wales and Scotland. I can hit shops there. So yeah, I won't. You're right, honey. I won't buy any trains in England.
Thanks, Artie.
But yeah, let me just. I know everybody here has probably seen this before. Let me just do this real quick. Here is a turnout. Here's a Miraklin turnout, and you can have a little button here to flip it manually. But there's the turnout. But this is the Miraklin C track. Okay, Miraklin makes standard looking track called K track, and then there's the old metal M track. But what makes Miraklin cool is that you can put the motor here, motor here, decoder there, no drop wires, no bus wires, digital, and I can flip it from my handheld controller or from my control center or from my tablet or from my cell phone. So you don't, but the nice thing is no bus wiring, no drop wiring to do that. And that's one of the reasons why I like the C-Track system. It was train track for dummies. A lot of people don't like it because it is not realistic enough. Although there are parts of Germany where the track ballast does look like that. But so that's empty and that's with motor and decoder. Now you can put the motor in and run it. You can put the motor in without a decoder and operate it through your regular whatever system, or however you want to do it. But that's that system. So let me make myself small again. There we go.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised nobody else does that, like those Markland turnouts, Anthony. Because
well, like Wiesmann makes generic decoders for because Roco has a pre-bedded, pre-ballasted track. Roco has a pre-ballasted track, so technically you can do them, but they don't push it the way Miraklin does.
Well, what I was getting at was like Kato and Atlas, they both have the road bed that attaches to the track as well, but I've never seen it where they actually put the motor up underneath the.
Yeah, well, I think doesn't. I know Kato turnouts can be wired and run to a device that runs the turnouts as well, but I thought Kato had where you could stick the motor up, the decoder and the motor up under there and run it. But yeah, Miraklin right now is the sort of like the one system. I mean, it is called the Miraklin system, where it's all done that way. No drop wiring, no bus wiring, no wiring out to somewhere else. It's just all wired into the track. And I know Kato does that. You can do it with Roco. You can do it with Pico, but they don't have the all integrated system the way it is with Miraklin. And Wiesmann now makes decoders cheaper than Miraclin's that work on Miraklin C track because it's all preset. There are little grooves in there that specifically fit the motor, specifically fit the decoder. And now Wiesmann, or in German, Wiesmann, the V is pronounced as an F in German. Wiesmann does make decoders for the Miraklin system. Anyhow, there's that.
Yeah, I was just looking at Roy Eltham's comment there about the Kato turnouts come with the motor inside, and you can either wire it or install it with a decoder inside and not need to wire it out. So
I had a hunch Roy would know.
That's really cool, Roy. I had thought about trying Kato Unitrack, but I was kind of on the fence about how they wired up because the DCC systems I have, the Digitrack Zephyr and the MRC Prodigy Advanced Squared Starter System, they have the bare wires you have to screw in, or you stick in the terminals and then screw the little screws down. And see, I think the Katos have a plug on the ends of theirs. So, I mean, it probably wouldn't be nothing. It probably wouldn't be nothing to cut them off and wire them that way. But I'm kind of not a fan of doing that.
Yes, Miraklin has a catenary system, and it has two systems. It has an actual powered catenary system, And Miraklin does make some locomotives that are powered through the catenary on the locomotive, and you can set your system up. In fact, some of the old Miraklin systems, to run multiple trains, you had to do it. You had to power some from the catenary, and then the others got powered through the track. But yes, they have a catenary, or as the British say, catenary system. And but yeah, they have it. And that's one of the big debates I've had. Many of my German friends tell me you put the catenary system in before you do the ballasting and before you do everything else. But to me, it's in the way. If you run the wire, to me, the catenary is the last thing I'm going to put in. And so that might be 5, well, at the rate I'm going, 20 years down the road. But eventually I would like catenary along my track here. But
I better get what I need now then. But it's good.
Yeah, Roy, I was just talking about that, how you sent me that file. I am way behind on emails. I've still got 20 unread emails right now because I've just been so busy the last 36 hours. I caught up with almost all my YouTube. I think there's 6 more videos on YouTube I need to watch yet before tomorrow morning. Of course, there's all the Sunday people who will dump their videos.
Well, it's Sunday here now. Yeah.
It's not Sunday yet here. I got an hour and 26 minutes before it's Sunday here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. Well,
so it's there. I just haven't opened it yet. I haven't opened any email from late last night to today.
Oh, so you didn't see that $10 million link that I sent you?
Yeah, I did, and I just didn't feel like I could take it from you.
Well, you can't say don't. At least you can't say don't give anything to you. Jeez.
I appreciate that. I gave it to a Nigerian prince.
Oh, good on you. That was nice. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
He's been giving so much of his money away. I thought somebody should give back.
Why not? Yeah. But what about talking about scams and that? I tell you what. We've been getting bombarded on our phones here. I don't know what it's like in the US. We've been getting these text messages that your items in customs or your items being held up by the post office that you need to pay duties and all this sort of jargon, right?
We get telemarketers here all the time, Artie.
Yeah, but we're getting these messages on the phone, and it's a link to go and send you into one of their dirty links. Well, Bernard sent me some stuff from Canada last year in October.
And it didn't explode?
No. It didn't explode. Someone put the wrong number on it. My idiot postman, he should have known better. I mean, he's at my place nearly every second day, so he should know the name on the parcel by now. Bernard put 25 down instead of 52. So what happened, that ended up getting sent to the post office. The post office was trying to send me messages, and I just kept on ignoring them, thinking it was one of those scam messages. So what happened? The parcel got sent back to Canada, didn't it? But the parcel bloke, he should have dropped it off here. And he knew he should have come down and go, what's going on here? You sent my parcel back to Canada? Because all the houses in my street are all in the one area. It's not 25, it'd be down the track. But
that's a great start, Roy. Thank you for that link. I looked all over, and that video never came up on my search, on my YouTube search. Thank you for that. Sorry, that was totally unrelated to what you were saying, but
Solari board?
Hey, even Joyce has never seen my Solari board. What kind of a man do you think I am?
Oh, yeah, I get them too, Wigbag. I get them too. They go, the IRS. And I go, well, run him, come and get me. I need a holiday. Well, you got to pay your taxes. And I go, I don't want to pay any taxes. Come and get me. I paid enough. It's about time I got a refund. Come and get me.
No, the Solari board is my digital. It's the digital thing on my bus thing. I showed it working in a video a couple of weeks ago, but that was from 2 years ago. But it runs runs lifetime bus information.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That's a Solari board. You know, like when you go into the airport,
Yeah.
I did but yeah, so
yeah, I might do something like that when I get to do my main station scene. Yeah. I still don't know how I'm going to do it to make it look real. I'm envisioning something like similar to Boston Station at the end of the line when I got off the Acceler, but do a mirrored image of it, like turn it about face, so to speak, you know. I've got to sort of picture it in my head how I want to do it, but I'm going to have it in 2 levels. So I'm going to fit in a few extra passenger trains because I haven't got really much. When you have a look at the space here, there's not really that much space for having both passenger trains and freight trains in there. So I've got to really play with the space, so to speak. Yeah. Just 2 hours, 2.5 hours on the stream. I think I might go out and get something done before the weather changes.
We had a beautiful day today. Not a cloud in the sky, just gorgeous blue sky. It was 60 degrees, which is what, about 17 Celsius.
Yeah, that's nice.
Next week,
it's supposed to get hot here.
It was actually warmer. The sun felt warmer than the 60 degrees.
Well, it felt down to.
I wanted to mow the lawn, but I took too long doing other stuff.
Well, I'm looking at the temperature on the van right now, and it says 64 here in Memphis, Tennessee. So,
well, you are a little bit further south than us up here in Toledo, and we're on the big butt end of Lake Erie.
What looks are deceiving. It looks big, but it's not as big as what it looks. The table that I'm got now, I've got to swap it out for a smaller table. Because once I put the 8-foot board behind me, there's not going to be much room for me to sit here. So that's got to be changed. Yeah. The space is going to be at the premium. I might even have to rearrange it just a smidgen to make everything fit properly. I wish they had a little bit more room, but hey, it's a challenge, and that's a good thing about this hobby. I mean, you don't have to go prototypical. You can work on a small space and create a challenge, and you still make a nice scene. You don't need a giant basement like, no offense, how am I going to say this though? You don't need a big basement like what Anthony has to have a model layout to enjoy yourself in.
Yeah, and you know how many people already look at the space I have and they're like, "Oh my God, you have so much space," and then they say, "And you waste so much of it."
It's not their layout.
I know. Rule 1. But people are like, "Oh my God, if I had this much space, I'd be doing this and this and this and this." And I'm like, "But this is what I wanted."
Exactly.
Is that not allowed?
Like I always say, my layout's nothing but 2 loops of track, and I can run 2 trains, and I'm happy. So,
well, Split Rock, if I were invited to an operation session and I felt I could get along with the people there, absolutely I would go. I enjoy watching and learning from people that this is what they do. So
yeah,
when people say, like Ray Boble right before he started redoing a lot of things, said anytime I wanted to get online with him, and he'll go through an operations session with me. And I'm just holding out till he's really got things where he wants it to go. I know he's done a couple. I know Jason the Train Freak does it. I would certainly be willing to get on a group watch or more in person. I think it'd be more fun in person. But yeah, it's not what I do, but I've seen it done. I think it's cool how people do that. And sometimes people don't understand that I can appreciate something to say, that's cool. I don't want to do it here, but I'll happily do it there. It's like Joyce doesn't understand that. I like to go out hunting at times. I haven't gone hunting, but she won't let me do it in the house. She just doesn't appreciate it.
She won't let you do hunting in the house.
No hunting in the house. She can't appreciate it. She doesn't appreciate it. So that's all joke, kids. But no, yeah, I can appreciate something and not want to do it myself, and yet watch other people do it, get involved with it, and say, hey, this is fun with you guys doing this. But no, it would not convince me to turn around and start, you know what, I'm going to build an operations session over there. And people say, well, until you do it yourself, you don't know. Well, the problem is I do know.
Yeah. You see, I'm slowly now learning with, well, until the stupidness hit me, like with my layout that I'm doing now, okay, I'm learning with my train automation. And what I'm got going now automatically most of the time is the passenger train. Going from the shed into the station and back again. Now what I'm trying to learn is how am I gonna throw in the freight trains in between it. And it's a learning curve. I haven't got a continuous line. I want to have a continuous line, but I haven't had the opportunities to expand. One, the health hasn't allowed me to do it, but I'm enjoying it. The old club that we had up in Sydney, while the old members were still alive, it used to be a brilliant club. We had operations, but it was split up. You had your own little stations, and you had to, because it was a double main line, you had those that wanted to do mainline operation. They get to run the trains on the main line as well.
Right. And so to me, the operations would be cool to be a part of and to watch guys doing it, especially the guys that this is what they love to do. Yeah. Whether it's somebody like Jack Online, Ray Boble, Jason the Train Freak, hanging around with those guys would be awesome in a lot of ways. At least the people I know online. Okay.
Yeah.
I was a member of a club. Anybody who's followed my channel has probably heard that the story. I was a member of a club that specialized in European model trains. They had great models. Some loved just at, the 40s, 50s era. Some loved the pre-Nazi era. Some loved the World War II era trains. Some loved the East German. They all had their likes. But two things drove me away from the club. One was 90% of the issue, and the club had its own layout, which was an exhibition layout that they took to shows, and I went to the shows with them, and I helped put the layout together and take it apart and set it up and wire it. And I met some people I really liked. But when the club would get together, and we had a monthly luncheon where the club got together and met at this former train station in Michigan, turned into a restaurant. Former train station turned into a restaurant. And they called it the Station 87. So it was kind of cool. And they had a big, they had an O-scale model train running through the whole restaurant. So again, cool. But what drove me away from the club was that when they got together, especially not in public, where it was just the guys in the club, they were extremists. The racism, the hatred for, you got to remember, I've got a very independent wife, Joyce, who doesn't take crap from nobody. And the men were, women don't belong here. And Joyce would rather be there with me running the trains than sitting with the women gossiping about all the other women behind their backs. But the racism, the hatred, and even the two-facedness among the guys in the club. Like as soon as Bob leaves the room, God, I hate Bob. He's such a dick. You know, I can't be a part of that. I can't tolerate that stuff. I don't usually care what your politics are. I've got friends that are the other side of the political table from me, and we're best friends. But we all have an extreme dislike of those guys that are way over here, and it's just every other word is this religion is a bunch of bastards, and this race of people is a bunch of bastards, and these people are this way, and those people are that way. And I'm sorry, that comes out political. It shouldn't be political. I don't care what side of the spectrum you're on. You shouldn't be a racist, okay? And I'm very strong about that, you know. And it just, that stuff got me. And then the related to that was the petty bickering. You know, when these guys, some of you have been members of clubs, they set up the layup at an exhibition and everybody's fighting over, you wired that wrong, you did this wrong, you idiot, you're running my trailer, you know, and that stuff. And I don't want to be a part of that. But if it's drinking buddies who aren't going to talk the political bullcrap or the hatred stuff, I'm in. Bowling, I'm in. Running trains, I'm in. Throwing lawn darts, I'm in. Throwing darts, I'm in. Because it's the camaraderie and the shared love of a hobby that is what's supposed to bring us together. So that's what drove me out of my club. I could not put up with that crap. Leave that stuff in your house. When we come to the club, we can talk trains, we can talk sports, we can try to talk politics too. That part I don't have a problem with. If you want to talk politics, as long as we're going to talk about it, and this guy's not going to go ranting nut job on how this race of people or this religion is the cause of all the problems in the world and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, okay, Joyce and I are out.
Yeah, that's the same with the club. I mean, I'm basically just there to run the trains. I don't care what people's political views are or anything like that. So I'm just there to run the trains. I just soon leave the rest of that stuff out in the outside. So
I want to hang out with people and talk trains, and I want to learn. And if Split Rock and Jason and Ray want to sit down and explain how the operation system works, I mean, I understand the basics. If somebody wants to sit down and show me, here's how I do things through JMRI, I watch Jason's 40-minute videos on how to program something into JMRI. Am I taking notes and going, I'm going to do that? No. But he's got a knowledge, he's got a passion, and he shares it. And if you're like that, I'm in. I will sit down and absorb it. I grew up listening to my grandfather tell stories. And I love nothing better than to sit down and let somebody tell me something that is about, let's get together and have fun. But the minute the petty jealousies and the backstabbing and the racist crap comes out, I don't want to be a part of it. You know, I don't want to talk about Bob behind his back. I don't want to, you know, I guess I'm talking about this club behind their back, but, you know, I don't, you know, I want to hang out with people. I want to hang out with people. I run my trains in my basement. Joyce comes down and joins my live stream, which is great. And that's the extent she shares it, although occasionally she pops the video up on her channel. But she knows my hobby, she accepts it, and she's cool with it. But it is an island. I am alone here. Thank God for the internet. Thank God for YouTube, because I can take over Artie's stream, or I can run my stream, or I can sit and watch Heath's show, or, you know, and I watch tons of videos on YouTube. And I feel like, you know, when Somerset Andy died, it crushed me. I only had 3 or 4 email exchanges with him, and then everything else was just comments on each other's videos. And yes, he came into my live feeds at time, but I got to know this guy enough that it was like my next door neighbor died. It was hard. It was tough to lose that guy, because for 3 years I've been talking to him.
Yeah, he was a nice guy. Yeah.
And so that's what I love about YouTube. So yeah, I'm in, just as long as we can agree to, hey,
disagree.
We all like each other here. We can like each other here.
Do we?
Well, okay, you and me have our issues, but
Yeah,
But
I know where you're getting at. I know where
you,
you're
you
getting at.
can't. You're not going to get my railjet. I'm tired of you harassing me about it, threatening me about it, calling me at 3 a.m. in the morning saying you're going to get my railjet, but you're not getting my railjet, Artie.
Well, you're going to be leaving the country, so that means I'll be able to come and get it.
Yeah, but you can't come in.
I can still stay from the north of the border.
Yeah, you think they're going to let you across? They're going to take your passport and go, excuse me.
Yeah,
We
that's
have
true.
a.
Yeah, that's a thought. Nah, you're lucky this time, all right? You're lucky. But yeah, I mean, yeah, well, it's now 12 months since I've been, well, it's going to be 12 months into this month since I started my streaming. And yeah, I met up with a great bunch of people here as well. And it's like, in a lot of ways, it's been a godsend to a certain degree. Finding new friendships and whatnot, developing similar interests. Okay, we might be different in some ways, but hey, Rick, oh, look, he's turned up. We can go now.
That's one more than I have, Rick. That's one more than I have.
Yeah.
But yeah, just back on the club thing, that's one of the great things about the club I'm in, because it's pretty much just run what you brung, and everybody just shows up, has a good time, and runs trains. I mean, and
Actually, that's
because that is the flip side you guys would see. You would expect me to come in and be this guy that you see on camera that's always talking, doesn't shut up, preaches about everything. But the minute you put me in a situation where there are pros doing their thing, I'm the bookworm now. I'm in the back watching. And I'm like, what's he doing? Okay, that's what he's doing. All right, that's how he did it. Okay, all right. And this is me. This is me, this loud, obnoxious guy, but the other guy, the very quiet, studious, really trying to learn, is also a part of me. But when you're doing live feeds, that part would not work. If you guys tuned into me and I just sat here and went, you'd be like, what the hell is this guy doing?
Anthony, I would never say anything like that to come to where the club I'm in is at. So, and I'm sure the other guys wouldn't say anything either. So,
hand me a pop, hand me a beer, and I'll just stand and watch. And if you say, hey, Dodge, you want to try this? I'd be like, sure. Yeah, I mean, I get George would occasionally come on my live feeds. And then there's, oh my God, O-Gage. He's always nagging me. O-Gage is crazy, man. O-Gage and trains. He's a crazy guy. He keeps building this wild setup and he loves to run his O-Gage trains, his Lionel trains at full speed, man. He just wants them, and he nags me like, hey man, let's see your trains go full speed. I said they'd be going off the rails. And he's like, so?
Yeah, so.
And that would be where you would respond, these things cost $500 a pop, and I don't want to lose any of them.
Oh God, yeah. I wish my ICE4 cost 500. Or yeah.
Well, I'm just saying.
I know what you're saying.
There was a chat with one of our founding members at the old club there up in Sydney. Old Ken Davis. I can't remember his last name now. You get a new engine put on a layout. Well, they got me into building engines, and you put it on the track. If you turn your back on it, goes, oh, there's a new engine. Let's have a look and see how it runs. And it puts it up in full ball and goes, is that as fast as you go? Can't you make it go any quicker? You had 2 speeds, stop and go. But he was good. He was great. The models that he done was actually absolutely amazing. And it was the old school modeling.
Good night, Roy. Yeah, really
good night, Roy. I'm going to have to start looking into getting out and getting this work done before the next little winds and that come up. It's been getting cold. We dropped down to 30 degrees last night. So, thank you again, everyone, for joining the stream.
Yeah, thanks, Art, for letting me come on. Sorry, it's kind of chaotic there, but
But what do you expect you from Tennessee? It's like that over there.
Well, I'm actually in Tennessee. I actually live in north central Arkansas. But
Well,
yeah,
that's even worse.
yeah,
He's an
yeah. My job is
Arkansan or an
country.
Arkansanian and an Arkansas or
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's great fun having a chat. I know we raved on a bit at the start, but
what do they say? Is it Arkansan or Arkansanians?
You would have to ask Jason, the train freak, on that. I just call it Arkansas. I would call it. Well, never mind. I'm not going there. So.
like Kansas.
Yeah, I'm from Ohio. I'm from Ohio. I'm in Toledo. I'm from Ohio. But people from Dayton and Cincinnati are from Ohio. I'm from Ohio. They're from Ohio. Just like the people in the East are Missouri and the people in the West are Missouri, or the other way around.
Yeah.
2 different states.
I just call it Arkansas.
I just call it the West.
Yeah.
Well, in my club, it's only the East and the West and nothing in between. So,
if you heard all the Arkansas jokes I make in my classroom at times, Randall, you and Jason would never, you would block me from the internet.
Oh, trust me, Anthony. I probably wouldn't block you. I'd have to hear him, but I wouldn't block you.
Arkansas and Alabama are particular jokes that I constantly make.
I could probably guess.
Are they all in bed in Alabama by 8:00?
Like we talk about, like I teach Egyptian myths. And if you don't know an Egyptian myth, just like the royal families, marry their brothers and sisters. In fact, to be pharaoh in ancient Egypt, you had to marry your sister because the royal bloodline came through the female. And all the gods were brothers and sisters, married couples. So I would always joke and say something like, yes, so the Egyptian gods were from Alabama.
Yeah, I've heard those jokes.
You're right. Or Arkansas. Any sort of incest joke was Arkansas or Alabama.
But most of the ones I hear either involve drugs or alcohol or a combination of the two. So.
No, we saved that for Los Angeles and New York.
And probably Florida too.
No, Florida, we just talk about insects that'll bite your head off.
Oh, yeah. Well, but I've heard those jokes too about Florida. So.
Well, we all have jokes. I mean, my thing is Heath gets mad at me at times because I do have a very negative attitude towards New York City because I've been there a couple of times, and the New Yorkers is like, the minute you tell them you're from Ohio, first they go, where? And then they go like, they don't believe, they think we still talk with tin cans on strings and we go crap by the closest tree, like we don't have electricity or plumbing here. If you're not from New York, you clearly aren't cultured or civilized enough.
One of these days, I am going to show you guys what my motel room looked like in New York. The next door neighbor's chicken coop looks like a lot more. Yeah, it was almost like my next door neighbor's chicken coop. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. That's the one we're going to have to ask Jason, eh?
Yeah, I'm smart enough to answer that question, Split Rock.
Yeah. He'd be busy. He'd be still licking his wound. But
we all have our territorial, what's the old phrase? They used to be called territorial pissings. We all have our, the areas we like to make fun of. I'm a Yankee. I'm a Northerner, so Southerners. And the thing is, my mom was born in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and grew up in Tennessee. Her dad worked for the Tennessee Valley Authority back in the day, and then came up to build her dad worked on building the nuclear power plants around the country. So we have one near Toledo called Davis-Besse. So when he came up here to help work on that one, he moved to Maumee, and that's where they were living when my dad met my mom, which is a crazy story, all in that
I don't care. We have a bit of fun and games and whatnot. I don't care, guys. Pick on me to a degree. That is, hang on. Let's rephrase this. If you're going to give it, make sure you can actually take it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It works both ways. I don't mind getting it, but if I throw it back at you, make sure you're going to accept it, because I'll throw it back as much as what you give.
Indeed.
So,
Indeed. Yeah. We all say it, don't dish it unless you can take it, right?
exactly. Yeah. All right.
Now, see, Ohio against Michigan is a little deeper. Ohio against Michigan is much deeper. All the other people don't understand. Ohio and Michigan actually fought a war against each other. That's how much we hate each other.
Sounds like Sydney and Melbourne.
It was called the Toledo War.
And Brisbane. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, happy Mother's Day, Kurt. Yeah. Happy Mother's Day to you too, mate.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Why are we saying Happy Mother's Day to men? It should be Happy Mother's Day to Artie's mother.
Well, some guys are actually some.
That's fine.
Some guys
are you
play
willing
two
to tell?
roles.
Are
They
you willing
do
to
the
tell us
mother
now,
and the father. Hey.
See, it's not Happy Mother's Day to me. It's Happy Mother's Day to Joyce, because she's the one who carried those kids for 9 months and bore them. And my job was to wait for her to get mad enough that she said, I'm getting your father.
Yeah. But if she wasn't around, you'd be a surrogate mother.
No, that's the problem. Joyce would laugh here. Joyce would tell you, I bore those kids, I raised those kids, and who do they take after? One of my favorite bits is my son.
Could have been worse.
My son AJ was sitting at the dinner table, and he's just like his dad. My daughters are just like their dad, flippant, quick-witted, very snappy with the comebacks and the comments, and they were giving mom a little bit of business, and and mom can give it too, but she was being outnumbered there. And she, how did my kids all get to be such sarcastic smart asses and whatever else she threw out? And all three of the kids just looked down at the other end of the table at me.
They didn't throw you under the
looked
bus.
At me like, it's all your fault.
They didn't throw you under the bus. They threw you under the train.
They threw me under the bus. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
At the time, Split Rock, it was considered a win for Ohio that they got Toledo, because Toledo was at the time expected to become what Chicago did become. You got to remember when Toledo and Ohio when Ohio became a state and Toledo was awarded to Ohio, that was Indian country. Toledo was the westernmost port city, and for a brief period of time, we were the big port. And then Detroit and then Chicago eventually took over, and Toledo kind of got lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
But one of the most important battles in American history was fought in Toledo, the Battle of Fallen Timbers, 1794. But anyhow, yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to make a move because I've got to go. I've got to try to sort this.
Right. Yeah, we'll let you go
tonight. Because I reckon Kurt came round here last night without me watching and cut my aerial wire. He's going to be wondering what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah, and I got to go get a haircut.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, it's getting a bit long. It's about 2 mils too long on your right-hand side. Yeah, and up here it's about
this
3.
one right here.
Here we go. We can go now. Look, it's turned up. We can go now.
Now, John Ricard. Now, he's probably been here the whole time. Just don't want to come up on screen. Now we're getting ready to go. Yeah, it's been 3. Yeah, Joyce dropped hints a while ago. It was time to come to bed, and I'm still down here.
Yeah, all right.
Here. Hey, guys, it's been fun.
All right, guys. Sorry, G, we are going. We've been here for 3 hours waiting for you. So you can take over now. You can start your own show.
We had a drink for you, Jean Ricard. We had a seat for you, and you stiffed us, and now you show up late to the party.
Sorry, and there was chaos on my end. We just had a good old time.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank you on behalf of the band and ourselves, and I hope we pass the audition.
Okay. Righto, folks. See you guys next week.
Later, guys.
Same channel, same
Later,
time.
Gators.
See
Take
yous.
care, everybody. Happy trains.